It's the Bush League Mud Show. It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
Yo. What is going on is another episode of the Bush League Mud Show. Slade
PJ.
And we got a special guest on the third mic today. Go ahead, tell them who you are, sir.
Hi, my name's Eli. I'm a college student, just a big wrestling fan, I guess. Excited to be here.
Okay,
Thanks for having me.
what got you hooked on it? I got to know.
Okay.
Because the younger generation, I got to know. For us, old guys, it was obviously Attitude Era. But,
Okay. Well, actually, I started watching at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm a very new fan.
All right.
I went so far in depth and I did a bunch of research, and now I feel like I know a little too much for how long I've been
He did his
a fan.
research, meaning he didn't
Yes.
buy the PG bait that's been going on for the last 10 years on television.
That's what I'm trying to figure out because,
He didn't go for that bag.
Right.
Yeah, because we've been bitching about these shows here for the last 9 months. So you've been watching it during the time we bitched and moaned about it. So I guess who are some of your favorite guys right now?
Currently, I'd say all-time favorite guy right now is Will Ospreay. Doing
Okay.
some amazing
All right.
things in New
Yeah.
Japan. For stateside, I'd say Adam Cole. Just
Okay.
'cause
All right.
he's super hot
Okay.
right now.
Well, we got a little bit of Adam Cole news to piggyback off last week. It is September 18th. Shout outs, Dizzy Course Media Studios here in the dungeon. Producer Nate on the ones and twos. It's September 18th. This is episode 20 for the Bush League Mud Show. And this is... yeah, I know. For the most part, this is a pretty quiet week in pro wrestling.
It was.
Until something premiered on Vice TV, in which it still wasn't getting the type of clout that originally it was scheduled. This was turned out to be at least what they said was the lowest the lowest rated Dark Side of the Ring episode in terms of people actually tuning into Vice the night that it premiered. But I told you last night, PJ, I said, this is weird. I'm like, usually they're constantly taking down episodes of Dark Side of the Ring on YouTube. Yeah. Well, Vice actually put this episode up on their YouTube page. And as of last night, when I was watching it through YouTube, it was already at 183,000 views.
Okay. Well,
after only having 153,000 tune into the actual telecast.
Yeah, their pre-promotion for this, we knew it was coming. The second part of this season was coming. They did a really bad job of promoting it and getting it out there. I remember when the season premiere with the Pillman episode, they were out all over the place like a couple weeks ahead of time pre-promoting that, yep, it's going to start, the new season going to start. When the continuation, we knew it was coming, but all of a sudden it was, I think, late Wednesday night is when I found out, it's back on this new season. I'm like, and then my mind lost track of it until everything hit the fan here.
Yeah. Bush League Mud Show. Please like and subscribe wherever you can find your favorite podcast. Also, look us up on social media at Bush League MS Pod. So we're talking Dark Side of the Ring. It was a really quiet week in terms of pro wrestling news. A lot of it was just a matter of just watching the shows and also watching this Dark Side of the Ring. So we get into this, and PJ, you have not officially watched this just yet, but you're very familiar. A lot of people are very familiar with the story of the Dark Side or the plane ride from hell, and this goes into the early 2000s as Vince McMahon has just bought WCW, and now he's got, basically it's a big conglomerate, basically. There's only one show in town, and you've got this big, massive roster. They're going on this European tour. You've seen shoot interviews over the years of certain people who were on these planes telling you their recounts of being on the plane ride from hell. And so Dark Side of the Ring, they resumed their third season earlier this week with the episode about the infamous incident. Chris Jericho was the narrator of the episode. And who they have on here, they actually have some pretty credible people that are on here that are talking about it, and these are people that have never shied away from talking about it before. Jim Ross is a participant on this. Tommy Dreamer, who will go a little bit more into him, and in terms of this episode, he's on this. PJ Polacco, who was the former Just Incredible, and Aldo Montoya back in the day during the bad 90s WWE. Terry Reynolds, the former wife of Dustin. Mike Chioda, former referee, and Rob Van Dam, RVD. And we get into this as they talk about the European tour. that they were doing, and the talent boarding a private 747 plane. They go there to Europe. They start off in Germany. They ended in England, and now they've got to come back, but it's not a smooth flight back. They find out they're going to be on the delay, and they're thinking originally, Kyoto says, well, I thought this was 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
No, it was a 7-hour delay.
Yeah.
And you've got guys who anxiously want to get back home. It's one thing if it's a 7-hour delay and, I don't know, you're in California and you're flying to Florida. At least you're still in the States.
And you're not on the plane boarded.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not already on the plane, but you're overseas. You're across the Atlantic. You've got a long 8-hour flight. And then when you get back, you've got to go through customs. There's so much. Oh, yeah. And then you got to be at Raw the next night. So this is something that wasn't exactly making the boys and girls on the plane the most happiest in terms of this. So you got a 7-hour delay. And the boys, as they say in wrestling, boys will be boys. And part of the boys being boys is drinking. And there was a lot of it. Excessive drinking. Lots of drinking. 3 carts worth of drinking.
Yeah.
And you've got a flight attendant by the name of Heidi. She gives her recount of the story. And she said they had already gone through a cart of liquor. And so they ordered another one. And they went through that. And they ordered another. Wow. And they went through that. And they said, has that ever happened before? And she says, as long as I've ever been a flight attendant, that has never happened. Never gone through so.
Because who the hell could afford it, first off?
Yes.
I mean,
and Jim Ross goes into it, and he says, it was very expensive. This was a very expensive private 747 that we were getting. But taking a long trip like that, a long tour, you want everyone to be comfortable. You want, it was money that they felt would be well spent.
And, well, at the time, they were making money hand over fist.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were just raking it in at that time period.
Yeah, so they go into that. Jim Ross, at the time, he was the head of talent relations, and he gives a little insight of his job. And in case if you're not really familiar with what the talent relations job entitles, that's now John Laurinaitis' job again for his second stint. But you're basically the manager of the roster. You are, in a way, the general manager, I guess you could say, like the actual general manager, the day-by-day consultant. You are the liaison between Vince McMahon, the owner, and the talent. You're determining and keeping track of the payoffs. You're, kind of making sure the talent follows the code of conduct of the company. And you could really tell by watching this that Jim Ross, he looked stressed as he's talking and giving his accounts of the story, because it just gave you a great insight just listening to JR about what his job was exactly as talent relations. And it looked like you took him back to that place, and he looked stressed, and you became stressed watching this shit, listening to JR kind of talk about it. Because Vince McMahon and Linda, they're on this flight too.
That was the craziest part to me.
All of this went on with the owner of the company on this flight. And there was lots of drugs that were incorporated as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. They did a thing. They did a practice, I believe they said was pretty popular, was H-bombing.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
H-bombing. And this was something that RVD talked about, that back in the day when he first started in the business, it was not very unusual for any of the boys to slip these H-bombs, if you will, into the drinks of ladies so they could have their way with them. And so you get into that, and Kyoto also gets into the drug part as well, and he's like, and Justin Credible says that a lot of these drugs, these were drugs that they were prescribed by doctors, and you could pretty much get them anytime you want it, because all you had to do was just go to a doctor and get it requested. It was legal. You could get this thing issued out. So the flight attendant, Heidi, she talks about just how, they actually go into detail about the flight attendants actually during this European tour. At least the first night, they were drinking and having a good time with the talent or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the flight attendants figured it out real quick. They would not be able to keep up with this roster in terms of how much alcohol and how much partying that could be consumed. But Heidi was the main flight attendant who they interviewed throughout this, and the story really takes that dark toll once we start incorporating not just the booze but the drugs. And then she gives her account of how unprofessional, if you will, that some of the boys on this flight started to become. Now, in terms of the physical stuff, this all, I guess you could say, we could blame Michael Hayes for this. Michael Hayes, JBL, they talk about JBL being in the match on this tour in which he got busted open. And he got busted open, and he's on the plane. They finally got him stitched up. He's bandaged up, and JBL is taking a nap. And they say, when you're on these flights, the last thing you want to do
Just fall asleep.
is fall asleep because people fuck with you.
Yes.
It's just, you've got guys talking about they have to wear hats and wear shades so they didn't give off so at least if someone tried to mess with you and they tried to take off your shades, it gave you enough time to wake up and kick out real quick and not fall for the trap. So JBL's laying there and he's sleeping, and Michael Hayes all of a sudden, he's already drunk. He gets up and decides he's going to bust JBL. He's going to bust JBL open.
Yes.
He's going to reopen the wound. So
Yes.
he nails him in the head, wakes up JBL. JBL's bleeding profusely all over the place. JBL gets up, absolutely slaps the shit out of Michael Hayes. Kind of looked like the skit off Chappelle show with the Rick James incident with Charlie Murphy.
Yes.
It looked like that. He knocks Michael Hayes out. X-Pac, Sean Waltman, JR has always been a big defendant of him and said he was a really, really nice guy, but he constantly fought hard to be accepted and looked at as a main eventer and one of the top dogs. So he was always looking for approval. And Hayes he felt fucked with him. So Waltman, he's told this countless times in shoot interviews. Yeah. I grabbed some scissors while Hayes was knocked the fuck out, and I cut his ponytail off. And they said that was the biggest pop of the entire flight.
Bet. Yes, it was.
It was like he had won the world title.
Holy cow.
He's holding the ponytail up in the air. Everyone's cheering.
Yeah.
Hayes doesn't know anything. He's knocked out. And then we get into the part about Ric Flair. Ric Flair is on this flight, and Heidi, the flight attendant, says that Rick was probably the most social on the way there to Europe and everything. He came off as the most talkative, most outgoing or whatever. Well, on the way back, Rick gets in the character and puts on the robe.
Yeah.
And he's running through and he's flashing everyone, and which
has been a trait for him for the last 40 years.
Correct.
Yes, it's something he's done forever.
He's flashing everyone, and he's got his penis going around in circles like a helicopter.
It's called the baby's arm, according to Arn.
And so Terry Reynolds, she is the lone female who was on the roster at that time that spoke about this, and she said she knew going on this flight, she goes, there's so many embarrassing moments that happen on the road when you're traveling with these guys. She said, so she knew it was going to be 10 times worse being on a private jet where it's just you and your crew, your circle. This isn't a commercial flight where you've got regular customers from around wherever. No, these are just everyone from the main roster on one flight. So people are going to be themselves even times 10. So she tried to stay away from that. Right. But she couldn't help. You couldn't help but witness what was going on. So Kyoto's talking, and then we get into the part where the flight attendant then gives her recount of a story of her being in a room. And as this is all hell's breaking loose at this point, we've got Kurt Angle, who's putting shaving cream on Brock Lesnar's head and splatting it. So now we've got Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. Lesnar's chasing Angle up and down the aisles.
Jesus.
He finally spears him. They start
In a
play
plane.
fighting.
Pardon me. Was this not Kurt Hennig?
Kurt Hennig. What did I say?
You said Kurt Angle.
I apologize.
That's right. It was perfect.
I apologize.
Yes.
Because we tie those two
Right, 'cause
together
Kurt-
at
Kurt
the
Angle
hip.
has an infamous story on a plane.
Yes, but
Yeah.
Kurt
Yeah.
Hennig, and they're rumbling, and they hit the emergency exit on the plane.
Shit.
These are two big guys, especially
Yes.
Brock at that time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rookie
exactly.
Brock.
Yeah.
And the Brock of now, they're very similar, although this Brock now, he's a lot more smart to the business, and he knows, well, I don't really have to do as much as I used to back in the day because I'm going to get the same amount of money. But you got what? Kurt Hennig at that time, you would say, was what, about 6'3", 6'4", a good solid 240, 250.
Built. Yes.
Okay.
Solid.
Brock Lesnar, big, solid brick shit house at that time, 6'4", 6'5", 280,
Yep.
chiseled. You got these two guys rumbling. They hit the emergency exit. Now everyone's completely terrified about the
Yes.
idea of this emergency door popping open.
Yes.
Everyone being sucked out with 30,000 feet above, in the air. So they finally get this thing settled. You've got everyone finally falling asleep. Terry Reynolds wakes up to her ex-husband, Dustin Reynolds, singing David Allen co-songs
Oh, nice.
on the PA mic. The flight attendant, Heidi's trying to get her mic back. He refuses. He's singing a song, and Jim Ross finally had to get up and tell Dustin, sit your ass down. And then
man.
the flight attendant gives the account of the story of her being in a room and Ric Flair coming back there with his robe. He opens it up, flashes her, and she has nowhere to go. And Rick proceeds to, even according to her, take the hand of her and put it down to grab his heart on. And so you've got now the commentary of both Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam that gets sprinkled into this. Tommy Dreamer wasn't buying it. He seemed to have thought that the flight attendant that she added a little too much sauce to it. He didn't see Ric Flair doing it that way, but then they flip it over to Rob Van Dam, who says, well, as I recall, the flight attendant's in the room and Ric Flair has her basically entrapped into a room and he's flashing her, and it looked so. Van Dam's account seemed to be more spot on and aligned with the flight attendant. Dreamer was going the other direction, and Dreamer came across more as if he was shading the flight attendant and just absolutely disregarding that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they finally get back to the States, and this plane's completely trashed. I don't know if you saw that part, Eli, but
there was vomit, blood, needles, everything that you can imagine.
And they're being told, you need to clean this plane.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't clean it. She says, as soon as we saw the needles, I said, we can't clean
Absolutely.
this. There's snacks everywhere. There's booze bottles. There's cans. There's shit everywhere. We're not going to clean it. And they kept being persistently asked to clean it. We're just not. So they get off the flight. Oh, yeah. And then we get into the Scott Hall stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
Scott Hall's also on this flight.
Okay.
Well, I mean, kind of. He was in a state where you could argue he was.
They recount a Scott Hall part of the story.
Yes. There was a time when I believe it was Terry went up to Scott Hall, who looked just out of it. And when she went over to ask if he wanted any breakfast, he grabbed her and started describing things that he would do to her.
He wanted to lick her.
Yes.
According to in her words.
I think that was
And even tried to lick her.
Did he really? I didn't catch that
I
part.
believe she did say that he said that he wanted to lick her as he was actually trying to lick her. Yes. Now, by this point, Hall's completely out of it,
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
And this was a concern by WWE. This was a main concern by Jim Ross. He said, I just had a feeling we were very hesitant about putting him back on the road.
Absolutely.
You know,
Well, because
Scott-
his personal demons were
Absolutely. So
not even a secret
this was a
at that point.
concern from the beginning.
Yeah.
And bringing Scott in and then having Scott in that environment where you've got the booze and the drugs. It's not helping. It's not helping, right? So, Scott Hall, his issues are well documented, and Scott Hall says he does not recall any of that on the flight, and I gotta say, I believe him.
Yeah,
because he was fucked up.
I mean, because the way that some of the people
I don't think
described
there's
his
very
state-
much that Scott Hall remembers.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to excuse whatever behavior, but I believe him when he says he does not remember that.
Right. Well, because they said they had to put sunglasses on him and drag him out of
Fucking
the
Weekend
plane
at Bernie's.
through the airport.
Yeah, so you got Just Incredible. They thought that he was dead. They had to literally pick him up and carry him off the plane. Just Incredible put him in a wheelchair, put shades on him, and when they got to customs and they needed Scott Hall's credentials to get back into the country, Credible made up a story saying that he had some type of condition, so they would let him slide. So he got through,
Jeez.
and the first thing they see is Jim Ross, who's looking at them, shaking the head, and Credible's like, I'm not the one who's fucked up here. It's Scott Hall. I'm just trying to get him through. So after 14 hours, yes, they finally land. People can get off. They assess the damage on the plane. Michael Hayes finally wakes up, realizes that his ponytail is cut off. He's pissed. They said he looks like he's actually ready to fight the entire plane if he had to. After landing, Vince and JR, they meet to discuss how they're going to penalize these people, these individuals.
Yeah.
So Mike Chioda, he wonders, what Vince was doing the entire time. Again, Vince is on this flight. You would think that someone would have, okay, who's in charge of this crew?
Right.
Okay, that guy, Vince, okay. Vince, you got to
But
get
at that point, Vince is one of the boys, right?
and everything's on JR.
There you go.
JR is his guy to carry out whatever he wants executed. So I guess the way Vince is, he pays he hands out the paychecks. It's JR's. It's his job to keep everyone in check, I guess. So JR says that it was, at the end of the day, it was his job to handle it. And he's still bothered by it and very embarrassed about it to this day. Right. Tommy Dreamer says that, Vince lays out the plan, but it's JR's job to execute it. JR says it wasn't hard to cut people that needed to be cut. So, one of the first guys they fired was Kurt Hennig. So Hennig gets fired. JR was troubled by the fact, Kurt had a bad night with the boys. They had to, they figured they would suspend him, but, at the end of the day, they just decided they're just going to go ahead.
Well, they weren't going to fire Lesnar. They're not going to fire the top stars. They're going to look at the roster and see, well, we're not using this guy. We got to make an example. Boom, he's gone.
So Mike Chioda's thinking, okay, Kurt's always had a long history with the company.
Yeah.
If anything, they'll suspend him, they'll fire him, they'll bring him back in about 3 to 6 months. It ended up not happening. Hennig passed away, a year or less than a year later. So JR said that he made the call to Kurt and said that he needed to handle his demons. And then they also, with Dustin, who was one of JR's favorite people, as according to JR. And JR said the options were either to fine or fire him. And JR thought that firing him would be a little too excessive. And he made the decision to just fine him a large amount. And then the producer asked about Flair. And this was the part of and JR's asked how Flair evaded any kind of suspension. And JR was pretty silent, thought about it, and he said, good question. And he said, there was nothing else to be said except for the fact that, in JR's words, he was a made man. So he got a pass, unfortunately. He was a made man. And they go back to Heidi.
Well, when did WWE know about the allegations of what happened in the room? Did they ever know about that or not?
So we get into that. We go back to the flight attendant. We go back to Heidi, and she talked to the other girls, and they had no idea that things had gotten that bad. Heidi gives her account. She said that she actually called SportsJet, who was the company that over this flight.
Yeah.
She called them, and they told her what happened was unfortunate, but prefer that she kept it to herself as they worked with athletes and things like this happened. They didn't want to lose a client, basically, is what this was. They wanted Vince to continue to do business with them.
See, that was my big question about all of this is why now? Were there NDAs signed that they could not talk about this for so many X amount of years? Because with this stuff now coming out, obviously that would have been, huge news. Well, it's bigger now than it was probably even back then, just where we are in society. But that's why I was interested with the timing of all this.
Yeah. Well, Heidi says that another flight attendant had similar issues and actually filed a lawsuit. And Terry Reynolds mentioned that if she had filed a lawsuit every time something like that had happened to her, she'd be in court the rest of her life. JR got the sense that the company wanted to do the right thing by those who had complaints and then just move on. So they offered a settlement. And then the flight attendant, Heidi, said that her husband just wanted the story buried and was happy to take the settlement. So they settled. They cut to Tommy Dreamer, who then continued to drown out Heidi's accusations and said, well, if that was the case, then why take a settlement, So Dreamer actually looked a little bad in this, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Heidi, goes into the whole thing about money, silencing victims and stuff like that. And again, they go back to Dreamer, and Dreamer again says if that's how she felt, then she should have declined the settlement and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So, it basically just continues to talk about how Heidi, dealing with the aftermath of that. And JR even goes into talking about how, if you could take anything positive from the plane ride from hell, it's that the talent that came through after that particular group of talent, the talents who made lots of money, made millions of dollars and are now broke. If anything, the talent that came in after, the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons of the world, they learned what not to do.
Exactly. And
so they have, for the most part, it kind of seems like, even though they have their transgressions in the company, that this is the current roster in terms of their behavior outside the ring, regardless if you want to make fun of the guys not really going out socializing, just playing video games. It's Candyland compared to what it was back in the day. So I would rather probably have my talent staying bunkered up in the hotel room with their PS5 playing, whatever, over, an incident like that can cause the company to lose lots of money. So there you go. Plane ride from hell. Eli, did you think Vice did a great job? Do you think there was a narrative they were trying to spit? Do you think they did a great job of just kind of sticking to facts? Do you think they were intentionally trying to paint anyone in a bad light?
Well, I've only seen clips, but I have seen the Tommy Dreamer clips are pretty bad. But I don't think they were trying to push any sort of narrative. I think it was just, hey, WWE's been telling you the story about a certain plane ride that, it was kind of, boys just getting into trouble, being crazy, and it was kind of whimsical, it felt.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, that didn't happen exactly the way that they've been telling us, and I feel like it needed to happen.
Yeah.
I suppose. But I don't think they were pushing anything. I think they were just telling the story as it was meant to be told. Yeah.
Now, the backlash from this, as I'm trying to get here in my notes, Tommy Dreamer was immediately, once this episode came out and Dreamer's clips surfaced on the internet and Dreamer got some of the backlash, Impact Wrestling was said to have immediately suspended Tommy Dreamer, and they actually did it at a television taping. I'm looking here. He has been suspended indefinitely by Impact Wrestling following the comments that he had made. He was asked to leave effective immediately from this past week's tapings. They were in Tennessee, so I'm going to assume they were at their base in Nashville, and that the company thought that his comments on Dark Side of the Ring in terms of the flight attendant, they were a little out of line with the company's core values. And Impact is said to not yet have responded to any more requests for the comments. Now, as far as the Nature Boy Ric Flair, this has become a whirlwind over the last couple of days. Now, again, I think if this story comes out and the whole thing about the flashing, this is not new. Right. ESPN did a 30 for 30 on Ric Flair, talked about him flashing. We've heard countless shoot interviews of people over the last 20 plus years.
Or on a flight.
But when we get into the part of basically entrapping a woman into a room, she's uncomfortable, she has nowhere to go, she doesn't want any part of what it is that you have to offer, and you're physically taking her body to press against yours or touch yours in any way that's inappropriate. This is where the backlash of Ric Flair got. And according to this, Flair. Well, now I can let you speak on that, PJ, here quickly, but in a moment here. But now Flair denied that there was any sexual harassment that happened. Now Flair also went on the oral sessions with Renee Paquette, who is John Moxley's wife, the former Renee Young of WWE. He denied it there. He's denied it for many years now. There was any type of sexual harassment on his part, although WWE did agree to a settlement. Now, CarShield, who he's been doing their commercials lately, CarShield commercials, it's saying here that is currently right now on pause, although it is thought that they might eventually just do away altogether, just yanked him. But as right now, any CarShield commercials that he has cut that have been getting run in rotation, those have been halted for the time being. Intermedia, who is in charge of those CarShield commercials, released a statement to PW Insider this week on the matter, saying that, quote, "We take these matters very seriously. As of right now, we are pausing the campaign and we will do our due diligence." So you've got that. That's the main one there as far as Ric Flair is the CarShield commercials. Go ahead, PJ.
The timing. Vice knew what they were doing. They, they don't get ratings on their station, so they know what they're doing to release this at this point and put a big bombshell out. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking at. Again, I'm having trouble with the years of how long it took for this story to get out on this part of it. Again, Vice, I know they're trying to get ratings, and this is their most popular show on that channel and getting the views and everything. We're automatically saying Flair's guilty. No, I mean, not that he's not or not, but we're already automatically judging him. He's guilty. We got to drop him from everything. Peacock's got to scrub him off now with the stories about the robes and all that they had on some of their short stories and everything. So they're starting to scrub him. CarShield's to scrub him. And I might look, well, you're a Ric Flair fan, so you got rose-colored glasses. No, what I'm looking at is, again, just how the goddamn culture is in the country right now. He could be guilty as all hell. I don't know, but we're already assuming he's guilty. We got to throw his ass away, and everyone is trying to jump on him. And I know Flair last night, he just tweeted, just when things were getting better for me, and all of a sudden, this. Now, we come off the photo from 3 weeks ago when he's going down on the lady on the train, supposedly, but then it turned out it wasn't him at all because he doesn't ride the train. So, I mean, you had that photo out there 3 weeks ago trying to, and everyone thought, oh, that's funny. That's Rick going down on a lady. Oh, that's funny on the train. That's Flair. Everyone thought that was hilarious. And he's like, that wasn't me. Oh, that's okay. But now this story comes out. Get his ass off everything. And I get, that's the thing that's kind of driving me nuts. And Vice kind of knew what they were doing here with this. They waited on this. That's probably why they didn't really give a whole hell of a lot of heads up that this was coming, because I'm going to guess maybe Jerry McDevitt or some of the lawyers at WWE would have, give him a little heads up. Now, I know McDevitt is on later on this season when they talk about the steroid trial.
Yes, with Vince.
But I think this kind of slid a little bit underneath. That's why maybe they didn't do a lot of pre-promotion about it, because if you remember, back in the earlier part of the season, they had the Ultimate Warrior documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But then A&E also had their biographies going on. Remember when they jumped the schedule and they said, we're going to get our Warrior biography out before Vice does? Right. I mean, there's something going on there as well. So, I mean, Vice, they knew what they were doing.
Even though WWE, when they were mad at the Warrior, put out a document.
Yes. The destruction of the
Yeah,
yes,
right. So let's not forget about that, about the company a while back, 15 years ago or so, shitting on Warrior in a documentary.
Yeah, so now they were trying to get, they were trying to get ahead of the storm here. So I think Vice, they knew they knew what they had. And that's why I think that's maybe why we didn't see a whole lot of pre-promotion is they're not going to jump us on this one.
Yeah, that premiered once again. The continuation of season 3 that drew 153,000 viewers on Vice TV Thursday night. That was down from about 36, almost 37% from the season 3A finale that aired back in June on the Dynamite Kid. That episode drew.
I was going to say, did the Nick Gage one now get beat? We're the worst viewership.
So,
get your pizza cutters out.
One related question. How soon do you think Andrade apologizes to Chavo?
Well, in terms of that, and we were actually going to talk about that, Chavo had to be written out of the story on Rampage a week ago because we did not know this, but he is the wrestling consultant for the Young Rock TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He's the trainer.
Okay.
So they've already started filming for season 2, so Chavo had to be a part of that. So they had agreed that if it was going to be renewed for a second season and Chavo was going to be back doing that, then that they would write him out. Now they're saying that once Chavo is done with Young Rock, he'll be back for AEW. He'll return. Well, I'm like, well, for what? Because Andrade's already done it.
That is a good question because Flair obviously
I assumed that Flair was going to come to AEW to manage Andrade.
But we already had kind of this issue with Jimmy Havoc in AEW about a year ago when the rumors came out that he was getting a little trouble, when everything was going on in Britain or in England, and those rumors came out, they fired him instantly. So does AEW now have to cool it on Flair and not bring him in?
I would imagine that you would have to cool it on.
If you're going by those standards, you've got to do that because if they do bring him in now, they're going to have all kinds of everything. So I know Khan wants him in bad. It would be great for the company. But, right now, this Andrade thing, I think he's going to have the nameless manager for the next foreseeable future because I don't think they can bring him in right now.
I do know the name of his man. It's Jose.
Oh, it's Jose. Okay.
That's all I know about him. Just his name.
No way, Jose?
Maybe.
So we move on from Dark Side of the Ring as the Bush League Munch Show. By the way, Slade, PJ, Eli, September 18th. Medusa, who is one of the most recognized. I don't think Medusa gets enough credit in terms of what she brought to the game. Medusa is, a female talent, a spectacular female talent that could have gone in any era. I would have loved to have seen a prime Medusa in the current era of professional wrestling, but she is releasing a autobiography with stories about the, quote, misogynistic world of professional wrestling, which is very telling, being we just got done talking about the Dark Side of the Ring, Plane Ride from Hell. There was a press release that was sent out earlier this week by ECW Press. It was announced that former star Medusa, she was going to be releasing the autobiography for the spring of 2023. The book is going to be covering her early life before professional wrestling and the quote, forbidding truths of her childhood. She was also going to talk about being fired by WWE back in 1995 via FedEx while she was still holding Vince's women's title at that time. That led her to bringing that title, the infamous incident on camera, bringing it to Monday Night Nitro. Eric Bischoff, she throws it in the trash.
I was just thinking FedEx was pretty damn busy back in the 90s
Steve
with
Austin
those goddamn releases.
By Eric Bischoff through FedEx.
Boy, they had a lot of trust in FedEx then.
Yeah. So they, a part of the press release, they released a statement talking a little bit more about it, saying, quote, it was not an easy ride in the misogynistic world of pro wrestling. The colorful villains on the screen were one thing, but the behind-the-scenes power brokers were even viler, harassing and abusing with impunity, deft in sowing distrust by pitting employees against each other, and lightning quick to cover up any scandalous behavior. So,
yeah.
Is this a book that you will be interested in reading when it comes out in 2023, or will you forget that this is even dropping?
I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear about it when it drops because, the same thing we talked about before is, there's going to be some names, I'm sure, and those excerpts are going to get released and it's going to get talked about. Now, Medusa,
Medusa's a busy lady. She worked
busy.
Everywhere, and is she still doing the monster truck thing?
I don't know if she's still doing that or not, or, doing some off-road racing. But, she was all over the place, and she wouldn't be, she was a trailblazer among, female wrestlers in the industry, and
no matter what kind of work she did, she was one of the boys.
She was one of the boys. She's the first Paul Heyman guy girl. She was still on that. And I know she's still got a great relationship with Heyman and all that stuff. But I guess with the behind the scenes things, she would probably know better than anyone else because she was probably in a lot of places the lone female talent there. It was her and probably Alexandria York at the time and WCW, which, again, we just talked about with Terry.
Yeah.
So, it was those two, not a whole lot others in that locker room. Maybe Sherry later on, but, that was pretty, small world right now.
Andrew Yang back in the news, fellas.
Yes.
He is asking WWE wrestlers to contact labor attorneys. The former 2020 U.S. presidential candidate, he made several statements last year, if you remember, regarding WWE's claim that their wrestlers are independent contractors and not employees. This claim is disputing the fact that the company tells them when and where to work at all times, in addition to not being able to work for other companies, just like traditional contractors would be able to do so. This past Thursday morning, Yang sent out a tweet noting that he had spoke with the Department of Labor regarding WWE classifying talent as independent contractors. Now he wants the wrestlers to contact union side labor attorney Lucas Middlebrook if they feel they have been misclassified while
not
working
Clarence
with the
Mason.
company. No, not Clarence Mason. He was unavailable.
Okay.
Yang put out a tweet saying exactly, quote, had a call with the Department of Labor. If you are a current or former WWE performer who feels you are misclassified as an independent contractor, contact, and then he gives Middlebrook's Twitter hash or Twitter handle, and let's get you what Vince owes you.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming, but this storyline is real. Fellas, I'm just going to ask you, who's going to be the first to take Yang up on his offer? Now, remember, we had Zelina Vega, after the whole third party thing, she was gonna chat with him, and nothing came out of that. She ended up re-signing back with the company. I think you have talent that are looking at this as, look, is this wrong? Absolutely.
Yes.
Jesse the Body Ventura, he's talked about this
he's
for
been the man. He's in the
years.
forefront. Yep.
He's been the man at the forefront. He's been a guy who's always talked about a union, although he says it's impossible because having a union in pro wrestling, or Jim Ross has said it's impossible.
Well, when there's only, now that there's more work opportunities that have come about here, it might be more of a possibility. It might be because you have different now workplaces available that you could try to go to. Because at the time, Ventura, I think his was, Vince is buying up all the territories, and it was just them, and then WCW came along. So now you have a little bit more to work with, but it is going to be hard.
Yang continues to talk about this, though.
Yeah.
He's not going to get a main roster person, I don't think, that's going
Probably
to
not.
cross that line and say, I'm with you.
But you're going to have maybe some of the disgruntled guys that they don't look at anymore, or they will not look at in
That's his
hire,
best chance, right?
and
It'd
that's
have to be
gonna
non-rostered.
Who's going to take him up on that?
Your Rybacks of the world.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the first guy, by the way. That'll be number one.
Oh yeah, he's probably
no
already
doubt.
contacted.
Punk, I would have thought maybe would have looked at it potentially the way they did him wrong.
I think maybe
with
if
that,
this
but
would've
not
happened-
anymore. But yeah, what do you think?
I think if this would have happened a few years ago, that maybe CM Punk would have been one of the guys. I think now,
not
I
now.
think now he just kind of cares only about AEW. I don't think he really gives a crap what they're doing as long as they're not hurting AEW's product.
So, yeah, I guess Ryback would be one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Enzo.
Yeah.
Enzo, maybe Cass. Well, probably Enzo. Because Enzo, I don't think is going to work much anywhere else. Yeah. So all the people have been blackballed from WWE are
Wasn't Enzo just working an indie match with Jerry Lawler?
See, yeah,
he was. I did see
Did I just see that a couple of weeks ago?
Yes. So, I mean, he could
random.
use that in his case. I had to be at the town hall in Tennessee to take a pile driver from the King.
Jerry will work anyone. I actually watched the sad match he had with Buff Bagwell. Buff looked like a shell of himself. This is a match from a couple of years ago. I think Buff was still doing the escort business,
gigolo stuff,
the
yes.
gigolo stuff at the time. All right, Gable Stevenson, he talked about his negotiations with UFC. Now, we've talked to you the last couple of weeks about Gable Stevenson. It's now official. He has signed a multi-year NIL agreement with WWE, name, likeness agreement, and image likeness agreement, which is going to allow him to come back to the University of Minnesota, wrestle out his last year, go for another national title, and be able to work for WWE and train. They're bringing a ring to the campus. They're really going all out for Stevenson.
Oh, in Big Town, even in Dinky Town.
Yes, so although Stevenson said he always had the ideal that WWE would be his future home, I mean, he's pretty much grown up a big wrestling fan. Brock Lesnar's always been kind of itching toward, and he's always had
connection. Yeah.
Absolutely, there's always been that connection. He talked about his negotiations with UFC. He felt that they were not aggressive enough. According to him, he always intended on returning to college wrestling for at least another year, but then it just became a process to figure out who was going to support that, in which he said WWE were more than willing to. He called out most notably Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, and Triple H that gave him the blessings to say, we're absolutely cool with you to go try to win another national title. And I figured they kind of would anyways because they knew they had him in the bag. He said prior to the announcement that he was going to be signing with WWE, it was hinted a possible future doing the MMA stuff with UFC and actually sit down and speak with UFC President Dana White. He said, honestly, they never really talked. He said they exchanged a couple of text messages. Dana wanted him to come and see him in Vegas, but he was already committed to being at SummerSlam, so it just didn't work out time-wise. Stevenson, he said he admits that he had hoped for at least a bigger push from UFC to actually sign him for a move into MMA, but it appears that the promotion just wasn't that interested in pursuing him. He said, quote, I wish Dana came a little harder. I wish he would have had more push on me to go that way, but that time is up for now. I'm 100% with Vince McMahon and that team. I'm excited to be where I'm at. All right, this is what I got out of it, fellas.
Okay.
I think I know why Dana White wasn't interested.
Why is that?
And I think I know why Stevenson really wanted UFC to come after him. To increase the value. To increase the bargaining chip. Dana White probably said, we know you're going to sign with Vince anyways. I'm not going to bite that bait and be used as a bargaining, negotiating chip to up your value. When you get sick of Vince, eventually you will. We can come. We can bring you in for about 3 to 5 matches, get you a nice little bag, a nice little payday, and then you can go back to Vince like they all do.
Yeah, do the Brock plan.
Absolutely.
I've got burned with Punk. I don't want to get burned by another ex-wrestler.
Bobby Lashley with Bellator. So I get it. It was business. I think Dana would have been serious if he knew Gable Stevenson was really serious about UFC. But if the talk for the last couple of years, and that, you know, I'm sure Dana's probably asked about Gable for the last several years, and people probably told him, yeah, he's probably going to be a WWE guy. They've been on him. Brock's been on him, this and that. And Brock and Dana's relationship right now, it is what it is, I guess, in terms of Brock with UFC. I think Dana looked at it as, I'm not going to be used as a negotiating chip. If everyone knows you're going to sign there, get the best deal that you can get for now. And, you know, I don't think Dana would have had an issue with.
Well, again, Dana, too, is not the sole owner anymore. He's just the figurehead. So, I mean, he can say, okay, well, this guy is who I recommend you to sign and all that. But, I mean, he doesn't have, like, the negotiating power, I don't think, that he used to have. Or, you know, he knows down to the penny what they can do for each guy or not. So, I mean, that's also a thing that he's got to say is, like, dude, I mean, I can recommend you for this, but you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah. Bush League line on this. I'm not a gambling man. I gamble with my life. I don't gamble with my money. But gambling on this, how soon do we see Gable Stevenson in WWE, would you say? After we just watched NXT 2.0 this past week, which we'll break that show down here in a little bit, over or under 6 months?
Well, they're not going to bring him up while he's doing the thing at school.
Yeah.
So that season's going to kick off fall, December, into the spring. So I still think we're at least a year and a half away.
Okay.
You know where that might leave us? Not next Royal Rumble, but Royal Rumble after.
That's a good point.
Maybe a
Are we calling it
Rumble
that Gable's
debut?
going to be the Rumble 2023 winner?
Could
Maybe
be.
not winner, but
Well,
you know,
if you
maybe
put him in
eventually
there, he's
we'll
got to
put him in.
win it,
He's
right?
got to be up
Fair
there.
enough.
Yep.
Fair
If
enough.
you're building,
I would
at
imagine.
least Final Four.
yeah. Unless they throw him in this year just for the spot. I mean, just to have him in
get
the
the pop.
Rumble, to get the pop and get the name out there even more. It'll be hard
Is it
because he'll be right in the
necessary?
middle of the season.
If the Rumble's in Minneapolis, which it's not going to be,
No.
but if the Rumble was at the Target
Well,
Center,
yeah,
or
then
what-
you do it.
Yeah.
Then you.
Which, again, they'll probably make, though, when they are in town, he will show up at the Raws or the SmackDowns events in Minneapolis. I'm sure he'll be there for the home shows. But, it'd be hard with the season, with the wrestling season and all that. I still think it's about a year and a half away.
Okay. Triple H is reportedly doing very well after his recent heart surgery. Now, WWE, they announced back on the 8th of this month, about 10 days ago, that Triple H had underwent successful heart surgery the week before.
After a cardiac event,
Yes, that was a genetic
went to the local
heart
medical
condition.
facility.
Yes,
We had to use the WWE terms in the goddamn press release.
In the press
come
release.
on.
He underwent a successful heart surgery the week before. The company said he was expected to definitely make a full recovery. In the update, word is that everything remains quiet regarding Triple H's condition, but he's in good enough shape that he's taking phone calls right now. This is according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. WWE talent, however, have been told that they can only call Triple H and wish him well, but they are not allowed to call him and talk any WWE business with
Because
him.
this is the shit that caused it. I mean,
No, Triple H missed this week's WWE NXT 2.0 reset taping. Shawn Michaels reportedly was running things backstage, but there was no word yet on when he'll be back to work full time. But yes, the talent was not allowed to call and talk business with him. I don't think he needs to have anyone call him. All he had to do was turn on the fucking television to know what business was going on,
Yes.
especially after the WWE NXT 2.0 reset. In which Samoa Joe, that was a little weird last week,
Yes.
fellas?
I wonder if Triple H knew about that as well. I think this was part of the whole, we're not going to, the office isn't going to even contact him right now. We're just going to just let him be alone. Don't give it up.
As we recorded last weekend on Sunday, September 12th, this was before Samoa Joe announced that he was going to be relinquishing the NXT title, and it made people scratch their heads. It was said that he was not going to be cleared to compete, and therefore there was going to be a four-way for the title on the NXT for the rebrand, and people were wondering, well, what's wrong, and they were very, very quiet about it. PJ, you were one of the first that thought that this was a work from the beginning.
I think it is.
And now a lot
Very
of
well
other
could
people
be.
are starting to think this was a work. Dave Meltzer said in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that the only direct word from WWE on Joe is that he was hired primarily for a non-wrestling role in NXT, and that had a lot to do with that title being taken off of him. We've been hearing about they don't want to recruit the indies as much. They want to get younger. They want to go more with the athletic, the college athlete route, or whoever, Now, during the NXT 2.0 relaunch this week, they barely even mentioned Samoa Joe.
Oh, they did not. They
Didn't even mention.
The vacant title is up for grabs. That's basically the only mention Joe got.
Yeah, there was nothing talking about the reasoning for his absence. The online speculation was that they wanted to strip the title from Joe because they just wanted a fresh start with a new young guy as champ.
Well, look who
to kick off the new NXT
Well,
champ.
look who's running it
Right?
now. because, you had Triple H that allowed him to compete. Now you have Vince overseeing this. We've heard from Daniel Bryan, from Edge, countless others. Vince does not clear them. He is, as Bryan said in his AEW press conference, Vince tends to be very, cautious on and careful in releasing these guys and letting them to go. Even though the talent think, yes, I can go, I want to go. But I think that's same thing with Joe. He didn't want to release. He just did not want the medical release on him. He just wants to keep him out, be very cautious with him for whatever reason that Vince has about being extra cautious with these guys. I don't know if it's a lawsuit down the road or what, but it looks like it came full picture here again.
Yeah. The Joe's injury seems to have been a work. But people are scratching their heads and said, well, why would you then put the title on Tommaso Ciampa? Well, it's real simple. So he can hand it off to the next young stud of NXT.
Breaker.
Oh, yeah, Lord. I mean...
Is that where we're going?
It didn't help. I mean, it's weird. Because LA Knight, I thought, was one of the newer guys that they were going to push, right?
Yeah, we were both thinking that.
He got pinned twice.
Yes,
in the
he
same
did.
Night. Once for the title. So
that was send the message that they're all about the youth movement.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
now with WWE NXT stars, this company's had an issue with losing superstars due to contract issues, whether they're releasing them or whether people are just not re-signing like Adam Cole. This has been an issue. And a number of NXT superstars decided against re-upping their deals in 2019, which is why they are having a lot of these issues this year.
Okay.
This was at a time where the company, if you guys recall, they were throwing around a lot of money to keep people from going to AEW, to keep people from going wherever, signing people to 5-year deals, only by that next spring start cutting people that they had just re-signed. Adam Cole's WWE contract, that already expired. Johnny Gargano's deal is set to expire in December. And both of those guys, they were among many who turned down extended contract offers back then. According to a report from Fightful Select, several NXT superstars passed on new contracts back in 2019, Gargano being one of them. And this was right around that time as well where the USA Network, they were going to premiere NXT.
Yeah.
Now, the main reason why these guys and gals were not re-signing, the ones who didn't take the bag, is because it was reported that, quote, there wasn't much incentive for top NXT talent to resign at the rates that they were offered because those contracts were nowhere near the dollar amounts of Raw and SmackDown superstars. Mm-hmm. And I get it.
Yeah, I get that.
If you get called up, what does that do for your contract?
Exactly. Yeah. It is kind of strange that they have...
Do you rip up the contract and do a rework deal, or do you get switched over automatically?
Well, apparently not, because they didn't do anything with Malachi Black's contract when he got bumped up.
Yeah, the whole 30-day... Again, it's strange where it's the same company, but they have different, release dates and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, Major League Baseball, the minor league system and all that. I mean, I'm just trying to compare it to that, and it's kind of... They kind of run unilaterally. If a guy gets released, he just goes on waivers or whatnot. But, there's no timing. With this, I understand it's a different beast, but it is strange that the organization, WWE, does not have a unilateral release plan.
Yeah.
And it's different for the two tiers.
Yeah. Now, Pete Dunn recently signed a new 3-year deal.
Okay.
So he's going to be sticking around
him
for
a lot.
while.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the company was smart when it came to Gargano. He does not have the same mirrored deal as his wife, Candice LeRae.
Oh.
It says here Candice LeRae will see her deal expire sometime in 2022. There's no exact date that has been confirmed, but that should be available soon. Now, back in August, she announced that her and Gargano, they're expecting their first baby.
Yep.
She's due to give birth in February of 2022. As of right now, reports are saying WWE will not be doing that freezing shit on the contract.
Well, they can't with that because there would be a whole hell of a lot of.
So with LeRae's contract, there will be no freezing during her pregnancy, as she'll remain as an on-screen character. And she's continued to say, even while she's pregnant, she will stick around as long as she,
they just had her on
physically able to. So there you go. NXT 2.0. Now we get into the part of reviewing the shows from this past week. We gave you enough on the NXT. Let's get into the rebranded, repackaged NXT 2.0 show.
Double Dare.
Yeah, it's exactly.
I mean, dude, I was waiting for the challenge and the pick the nose game to find the flag, all that shit. And that's all I was missing.
Yeah, this was a show that kicked off. They launched. They got the relaunch going, and presentation wise, look, no one can deny that when it comes to pro wrestling, no one looks as good on camera as WWE.
Yep,
it looks phenomenal.
They're going to spend the money to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it looks too polished to the fact that you could tell that it's a cover up for the bullshit they're about to give you in the ring on the show. But this show kicked off with Braun Breaker.
I got his name wrong, too.
Braun Rex Steinerbreaker? Yes, him.
Yes, so the son of the
former
dog
fullback.
face gremlin, Rick Steiner, they have now repackaged him and renamed him Braun Breaker because it is WWE. And god damn it, we got to put our stamp on you, pal.
We got to have a Braun, damn it. We have a...
Never mind the fact that he looks, even though he's Rick's son, he looks more like his uncle.
Yes, he does.
He's built like Scotty.
Built. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's in a match against LA Knight. This wasn't a bad match. I thought he was in the ring with a guy who, could get enough out of him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you could have run a different route, but they set the tone immediately to let you know that this show is going to be about the youth movement.
Well,
they're going a different route.
I applaud him for that because, that is what they stated. So if you have the young guy get beat in the opening match, then you got an issue. Now, again, I have an issue with who they put in that opening match because Eli Drake obviously should have been not in that. Maybe that's a spot where, someone else that, a veteran that you had on the NXT roster, you put in that match to have the young guy go over. But, Drake, I didn't think needed to be in that one.
In the second match of NXT 2.0, we have the team of Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen in a match with Imperium. Now, Brooks Jensen, he also got his name changed. He was coming in as Ben Buchanan. He is the son of the former Bull Buchanan. So they snipped him up with Josh Briggs. They actually lost their match to Imperium. Although I will say that it looked like Walter's kids.
Yes.
If Walter would have had kids, they would have
them.
spit out as Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen in this match.
There's bastard seeds.
This was a match, and I remember coming to you, dude, and I said, these guys, they need some work. It looked like a pretty reckless match. They're very rough. You could tell they're strong guys, but being in the ring with other big guys and the way they were trying to handle, there were some mishaps in that match that made me a little scared that man, they might actually hurt somebody for real in a match. So I think they got some work to do. A little bit too soon. Maybe they should be on TV in the ring, but. The NXT, they apparently have made this commitment. This is where they want to go.
Yeah.
Did you guys end up watching this match?
I ended up watching the whole show. I don't really remember a whole lot. This match kind of felt like
they made no impact on you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It was there. It was
there. I know what you're getting with the suplexes. God, they're going to be called the broke neckers soon. I mean, damn. They were throwing guys around and ragdolling them, and they're pretty decent guys that they're throwing around there. And I know you want to be intense and make a point, but the thing is, guys, these are your dance partners. You got to work a little safe with them, or else you're going to have some receipts coming.
Yeah.
We also got B-Fab, Brianna Brandy defeating Katrina Cortez by pinfall.
My thing with this is do not sing the entrance theme.
Yeah.
God, that was terrible. I know what happened. They told her in the back, lip sync the entrance theme as you're coming out. It was fucking terrible. It was not even matched up and everything else. It's like, don't do that. Just walk to the ring. You don't have to be the entertainer. I know we're doing the hit roll thing and all that, but you could just go to the ring and go out with the music. That was bad.
We also got Casey Costanzo,
yes,
and Kaden Carter. They defeated Gigi Dolan and JC Jane by disqualification. This was a match. This whole show
was just a
had
smosh.
Twitter trending and lighting up because you had even the most hardcore wrestling fans saying, "Who the fuck are these people? Who are these people? And why are they on my TV screen?" That match ended in a DQ, but just to squeeze
more shit.
Mandy Rose in with her new look.
Yes.
We then had to make it a 6-lady tag match in which Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane were on the victorious side, defeating Saray, who got added with Casey and Kaden Carter. We went to a commercial break, or that was after a commercial break.
Yes,
they came
then
back
we
from
had
commercial
the three-man, the typical WWE booking. Well, it ends in a DQ. Well, let's bring 2 more combatants out and make it even more shittier.
Yeah,
and take another 15 minutes of time.
A guy who I'd be shocked that Vince wouldn't at least make an effort at some point to try to do something with eventually, and I think they were going to in NXT last year before he got hurt. But Ridge Holland, we got Ridge Holland on the show, defeated Drake Maverick, and it was what it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
My whole thing with Holland, get rid of the fucking Billy Club, the nightstick. Mike,
you're not feeling it.
God, I'm not. It looks so stupid in his hand. Big boss man, former corrections officer, knew how to wield and deal that fucking thing around, twirl it around, and look like a badass. Ridge Holland looks like he's breaking up a fucking 1920s sock hop. And I just aged myself, but my God, I'm thinking of like an old-time movies. The fucking Billy Club in his hand's about 2 inches, and, his big, muscly guy.
Untouchables.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. I was just like, for fuck's, get the goddamn thing off his hands.
We had another tag match. The Creed brothers defeating Dan Jarman and Trevor Skelly.
These fucking names. I know we've heard Cornette talk about it last on theirs, but yeah, these names are just here's the bucket of names. I guess it used to be the box of gimmicks. Now it's the box of names. Pick one out and we'll shit one together. Scully?
Yes.
Is this fucking X-Files?
I will say,
Skelly.
Mulder, the next guy? I mean, what the fuck?
Creed Brothers and Diamond Mine, I'm actually really enjoying what they're doing with them so far. Just kind of waiting to see where it goes. I'm excited about the Kushida Roderick Strong match next week that they set up here.
Well, they brought out Ivy Nile as well.
Yep.
They've renamed. She was a part of, was she American Ninja Warrior? Or was she?
That's right.
Yeah.
She
Titan Games,
Games,
I think, the Rock's deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's out there. She's looking great. They have her posing with Diamond Mine, which this faction does nothing for me right
love
now
them.
anyways. They have her out there posing with Diamond Mine. She immediately looked like the biggest badass of the group.
Yes. At 5'8", maybe, or 5'6".
So, more like 5'4".
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's right. She is
chiseled out of her
Yes.
mind. I'm looking at the presentation. I'm like, I can't even take the boys seriously in this group.
'cause
I
she
think
looks
she
like a
could beat all
badass.
their asses.
She probably can.
Seriously.
Yes.
So that's what we got out of that. The Fatal 4-Way match. Now, this was originally supposed to be Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, LA Knight, and O'Reilly.
Yes.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then
We're
during
doing
the
them wrong.
show, we got word that, well, O'Reilly, you ain't going to be in this either.
Nope. I don't even know why we put you in the building. We fucked up on the writing this show, so we just gonna rip this shit up.
So, yes.
I remember running to you when I saw this happen. I'm like, dude, they're really doing O'Reilly wrong now. They're not even having his ass in the match. This is the guy who everyone he was on track to be the champ. That's why I think Cole stayed to put him over. Put him over. That was the transition. Obviously, new man in charge, not going to happen now, and this is fucking proof right here.
Yeah, so we take Kyle O'Reilly out of the match. We replace him with Von Wagner. Von Wagner.
Not Moritz or another the Michigan guy. Can he shoot a 3? Maybe.
Yeah, so Von Wagner, Cal Bloom, who was just recently signed by the company not too long ago. He is the son of former wrestler Wayne Bloom.
Okay.
Wayne Bloom was in the tag team, the Beverly Brothers.
I was going to say that. God damn it. That name came to mind, and I'm like, well, that can't be right. Because I'm looking at his kid, I'm like, it doesn't look anything like the blondes that they were and all that shit. Because I remember that program they did with, like, Legion of Doom and shit like that.
Now, Von Wagner, the reports came out after NXT premiered that night for the 2.0. The first episode of 2.0 is that they have main event plans. They see main event potential in Von Wagner.
Well, they threw him in it right away.
I see no main event potential with the name Von Wagner.
No.
Yeah.
So that's part of your problem. So you're going to potentially build up someone in which you're going to have to repackage and change the name anyways.
This is all Vince. This is all, he does not want these new people to come up with their own shit. That's basically it. Because then, if they file trademarks, even though you're not supposed to in WWE or whatnot, then he can't own you. He can't own the likeness and all that shit. I mean, this kind of goes back to the Yang question, too.
Who's going to leave, though, and take the name Von Wagner with them on the...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Vince hands them the fucking names.
Right.
I'm just saying the talent can't come up with their own name, so I can't really put it on the talent. This is the damn name you got to get over. Red Rooster, good luck. Shit like that. Oh, goodness. Adam Bomb. Should we keep going?
Well, this match here, this match was for the for the NXT title. We had, I don't know. You guys thought what about this match? I thought it was a little too short. I thought they kind of rushed through it.
Definitely.
We had the most important thing in the world coming up next, so we had to get this shit in.
I mean, I look back at the 60-minute Iron Man 4-way between Ciampa, Gargano, Balor, and Cole.
Yeah, that was
a few months ago. That was great.
Yes.
It was just 60 minutes of pure action, and then you look at this, and it was what? Not even 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes. Yeah, they hit the ring at about 8:30 our time. So they had they did extend it, I think, a little bit this week. But, yeah, so they only had 15 minutes to get everything in, and with four guys.
Well, they were going to 10:08 Eastern time.
Yeah, so, I mean, they got this thing in early, because you had to make sure the next event was perfect.
Yes, this was rushed through because we had to end it with the wedding of Indy and Dexter Lumis.
Yes.
So we do that, and our winner ends up being Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes, which again we were kind of surprised, but like you said, not surprising. He's going to drop it. He's going to put one of the young people over. And obviously what we'll talk about here is, who he was facing off with as the show went off the air.
Yeah, so we get into the wedding, and this wedding was had its awkward moments just because I think, it's a comedy skit.
Yes.
And they're not comedians. This isn't Saturday Night Live where you're reliant on cues.
Yes.
Like the timing's got to be perfect. It's got to be spot on it. And they're not comedians, so they're not hitting cues at the exact time, so it kind of leaves like a little bit of awkwardness. We get Beth Phoenix, who runs up.
Yes.
We all of a sudden find out that she got certified to
online
to officiate a wedding because she just had a wild idea. She just thought that
with everything
this could possibly happen.
Most likely,
Dexter Lumis taking out the original officiator of the wedding.
If we look at WWE weddings in the past, we've had a guy rip his face off and say no with Bischoff. We've had this. So I am glad Beth Phoenix did that because we've seen just too many things go wrong at a wedding, and I'm happy one finally went right.
Right.
I actually like this.
I suppose that was the twist, was that nothing happened.
There was no twist.
I was really starting to think that Gargano was going to screw this wedding up.
I thought so too, and I was happy he didn't. I actually like this shit. Mm-hmm. Now, I get what you're talking about, though, with the bad... Gargano was overdoing it big time.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to hit his cues and everything else. The overacting was there. My favorite part was the Pop and Lumis start fucking talking. And you see in the background, they're all popping for him and excited about Austin Theory's jumping up. Like, oh my God, he spoke. So, I mean, that was kind of funny.
After the wedding, we then get in the back to Tommaso Ciampa. He is doing the weird, awkward side pose, looking at the monitor at the wedding. and as the camera pans back over, we get he and Braun Breaker face to face. Shakes Breaker's hand, says that he's got a long future ahead. They shake the hands, and as they shake hands, Braun Breaker is looking at the NXT title. Ciampa had to have known that Braun Breaker was going to come and square up with him over that belt. So we've already set the tone that Breaker will eventually be your NXT champion. It will be Ciampa handing it over to him.
Soon.
Yeah.
Probably
I'm
very
not
soon.
predicting a long title reign, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'd love to see one.
Yeah.
I'd love to see another run of Ciampa with Goldie.
Well, I think the strategy is in order to make Braun Breaker and Von Wagner and some of these other guys to get them established, you need to take the already current NXT stars to try and make them stars. And so I guess that's where we are right now as far as, you know, they set that tone. They let you know loud and clear the first night of NXT 2.0 that this is the direction. This is where they're heading. So
I'm still shocked we didn't see The Rock's daughter.
You were really pushing for that.
Well, they were throwing everyone else on the show. I'm like, why in the hell wouldn't you?
Is she in the Performance Center?
Yes, she is. She's
Oh,
been
okay.
there about a year now. So, I mean, I am surprised. They threw other people up there that looked like they weren't ring ready. And I'm not saying she's not. I have no idea.
Right.
But just to have an appearance or have her go in the ring and do a little mic work, see if she's like Dad on the mic, just something. I am still a little surprised they didn't have her on the show yet. Maybe it's coming up. I don't know. But with this whole new rebranding, I thought that's maybe the direction they were going to go.
Do you really think they're going to make The Rock's daughter go to NXT?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
We need ratings, pal.
Fair enough.
All right, so moving on from the NXT stuff, we get to the worst show in all of pro wrestling, Monday Night Raw. They held it. Notice how the tone of my voice, it just changed as I start talking about Monday Night Raw. This was at the TD Garden Arena in Boston. Jimmy Smith, Corey Graves, Byron Saxton on the ones and twos of the commentary. We get into the show, and they announced Bobby Lashley was going to be defending his WWE Championship against Randy Orton. Now, earlier that day, Big E had vowed on Twitter that he was going to be, didn't matter who was going to be the champ that night, he was cashing in. So
we're against Monday Night Football, goddammit. We got to have some eyes on this thing.
So, Mr. Money in the Bank, Big E, makes his way to the ring, gets a big ovation. Soon after, the Raw Tag Champs, RK Bro, they make their way down to the ring. Orton talks about how he's going to be challenging for the championship. And then Big E looms over largely. Finally, Bobby Lashley, MVP, they make their way out to the ring. Big E says that if there's any confusion, he fully intends on cashing in. So now he said it on national TV. He plans on cashing in that night. Riddle is saying it's good to have Big E back on Raw, but he's asking not to cash in on his bro Randy when Randy beats Bobby Lashley. MVP, I thought, was the MVP of this segment.
Oh, yeah.
He said
Because he's such a great talker. MVP tells Riddle to shut his dumb ass up, which got a very funny pop. Big E says Big E will not be cashing in on Orton because Orton's not going to be winning the championship that night. And on all the nights Big E could have shown up, he chose the wrong one. When Big E does show up, MVP said that he's always happy to see him as everyone else. He gets to come out as New Day, pass out cereal boxes, pancakes, and all that shit. But MVP laughs when Big E shakes his hips, but he says we're not in a laughing mood. They're supposed to be challenging for the Raw Tag Team Championship since they won the Tag Team Turmoil match the previous week, but Orton politicked his way into challenging for the WWE Championship match for Extreme Rules, from Extreme Rules to that night. So Orton said it's been 14 long years since he's fought Lashley, and Orton doesn't want to wait 2 more weeks. So we continue to go on and go on and go on, and out of nowhere to end this segment, Randy Orton nails Bobby Lashley with an RKO. And my thing was, you could have just shocked the crowd, just did it right then, and just cashed in and had your match be Big E and Orton that night, if you wanted to, I guess. So that's where we were in terms of that. That segment, were you guys really into it, or were you kind of like, all right, well, Big E's already announced he's going to cash in, so we know hell or high water, we're getting a new champ.
It was just too much.
There was no way
Too
they were
much.
going to have Big E cash in and then not win.
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic to see Big E on there as well. And, what he was saying on Twitter actually led on to the program, because a lot of times they say shit on there and it's not even close. They wrote the script up. Again, the Orton thing, I just don't. It was just too miscombobulated with him and Riddle in there. It's just too many people at once. If it was just Big E saying to Lashley, I'm calling my shot, we're taking you on a little bit later on, get ready. I mean, I would have been fine with that.
We come back from a commercial break, and the replays are shown of Shayna Baszler costing Nia Jax the Raw Women's Championship the previous week. Charlotte Flair, the champ, she is backstage. She didn't get to the top of the mountain. She said that she didn't get to the top of the mountain because she had friends or partners. Shayna Baszler, she says, will never advance with all the dead weight. Flair's reign will never end. Long live the queen. We continue to go on and on and on. Charlotte Flair, they also get into the fact that she's going to be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss at Extreme Rules. Baszler is then seen walking backstage earlier in the day. Nia Jax confronts her. Baszler says that she only did what Jax would have done in that situation with the interference. Jax cannot beat Charlotte Flair, but Baszler says that she can. Jax wants to be on the same page with her. Baszler walks off.
Sorry, I was waking up from that.
Yes.
I mean, my God, this program is so goddamn weird. How they're setting up the title, where Bliss is going to get the title shot, but we have this Jax who beat Flair a couple weeks ago on that shoot fight, whatever the hell that was. Then we had Charlotte win last week. Now the Baszler thing, it's like the smoke and mirrors just to get to the Bliss in Charlotte match. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm not going to go move for move in this match. Just know that we had some moves. We got into a commercial break in this match with Baszler shoving Flair into the steel steps. We come back from the break. Flair and Baszler, they're exchanging punches. Baszler spikes her with a German suplex. Nia Jax then watches on from the ringside. Flair gets out a scoop slam, chop blocks the knee. Flair goes to the apron while holding Baszler's leg. Flair then applies a leg lock over the middle rope before getting into Nia Jax's face. Flair then gets back into the ring, but Baszler avoids a knee strike, and Baszler then proceeds to viciously knee her in the face. So Jax gets on the apron. Flair big boots Baszler for the win. So there you go. Hopefully I broke that down okay for you.
You did.
Okay. Alexa Bliss then walks down to the ring with Lily in one hand and a gift box in another. We get Alexa Bliss then thanking Flair for accepting the match at Extreme Rules. Flair says that Bliss doesn't know her taste. She doesn't collect dolls. She collects championships. And it's time to leave the dolls at home. We continue to get on with the fuckery of this whole dog and pony show. Flair then throws Charlie at Bliss. Charlie was, I believe, in the box. Correct? Was that the?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to this segment. Honestly, I don't.
By the way, USA is bringing back Chucky or Sci-Fi. Is this like cross promotion? I mean, why the hell wasn't Chucky out there making a run?
Bliss on some episodes.
Yeah, Chucky should have been doing a run in on on the doll, right? Or the doll and Chucky are going to be the tag team champions.
Yeah, so Flair throws the doll at Bliss. Bliss jumps on her, throws some punches. Flair proceeds to punch her, push her off, goes for a big boot. Bliss avoids it, takes her down. Flair charges into the ring. Bliss then hits a sunset flip powerbomb, followed by sitting cross-legged in the ring and holding up Charlotte's Raw Women's Championship. There you go. You guys don't give a fuck about this, so moving on.
Nope.
Not since,
We get a video package of Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre's making his way to the ring where he'll be participating in a six-man tag team match. We go to commercial break. We come back. We see already in the ring the team of Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky blindsiding Drew McIntyre. The Viking Raiders then charge down to the ring to save McIntyre. Is this going to be a faction now? of Vikings and swords and, between the Viking Raiders and Drew McIntyre.
You know what? We have to. We have to go back to this. If Vince has it in his garage or in his closet, he's going to use the damn prop. I'm waiting for the cape to come out. We're going to have the $1 Million Man cape come out here soon.
This match did nothing for me, just like I'm sure it did nothing for you guys, but just in case if you care, Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders won this 6-man tag.
Wow. Man, you talk about getting shit on Drew. I mean, he was right there in that picture. Didn't have the live crowd experience of winning the championship in front of him, and now this is what we're doing. We have, here you go, Masters of the Universe, come out with the sword. We know you're not going to be head motherfuckers in the ring, but we're going to make it look like you are, and now this is what we got.
We get a backstage segment. Big E, he sees both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston surrounding him. They're smiling. They're excited for him. They start dancing around, and then we get Damian Priest, who makes his way to the ring. He's going to be defending the United States title against Jeff Hardy. We get into a commercial. We come back at a graphic that shows that Reggie, the 24/7 champ, has 80 million views on TikTok.
Wow.
And then we get 24/7 champ Reggie running backstage and trying to avoid all the 24/7 guys. We get R-Truth, Tozawa. They look upset. Reggie escapes once again. Drake Maverick walks up. R-Truth tells Maverick that the plan did not work out. Maverick says it was all the execution, not the plan. And then we get back some Damian Priest stuff where he says that he's excited to face one of his idols, Jeff Hardy. This match goes on. Sheamus is at ringside doing a little commentary. We come back from commercial break. Just know that Damian Priest won this match.
Yeah. I mean, Hardy got a good pop, and, like he usually does. People love him, love seeing him. But, Damian Priest is winning. And, again, with the Sheamus thing on the outside, we just cannot get away from rematches or old programs or trying to get them back again.
Yes, after the match, Sheamus then charges the ring. He attacks Priest before hitting Hardy with a brogue kick. Then he goes to size up Priest, but Priest hits a brogue kick of his own, sort of, and Sheamus retreats. So there you go. Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash, they're backstage talking. WWE Tag Team Champions Natalya and Tamina walk up and taunt them, which I feel like Vince McMahon completely forgot that they were his women's tag champs until last week. I think he just realized, hey, who are our tag champs? Because they never defend them.
No.
And when they do defend, they're in a non-title match and they lose.
Now, Natty was injured. I will say
By
that
the way,
she had that going on, but now she looks like healthy again.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, Nox and Shotzi still have not gotten their title match that they won.
They have not, have
months. 2 months ago, I believe it was.
They never did get that shot,
Nope.
did they?
Well, the problem
I
was
don't remember.
They ran over the contract with the fucking tank.
Yeah.
That's my storyline, so they screwed up.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway, but
you are right. Way to.
Yeah. So yeah,
again, we are conditioned to forget this stuff.
They get into a fight backstage. So Sonya Deville says that Nikki Ash will be facing Tamina before Rhea Ripley faces Natalya. So we get a commercial break. We come back. Randy Orton, he's sitting backstage. He's listening to Riddle talk on and on. Then Riddle puts headphones on. Big E walks in. Big E says he's going to be watching the match very closely. And then Orton puts the headphones back on and ignores Riddle. So we get into this match. A match of Nikki Ash, who's accompanied by Rhea Ripley, taking on Tamina with Natalya. Nikki Ash wins this match. I'm not going to break this down. We got too many shows to review.
Now. Fair enough.
We then get a commercial break, and we come back because that was not going to be the end of this segment. Okay? We come back from the commercial break to now get a match between Rhea Ripley versus Natalya.
Well, yeah, of course.
Fantastic.
It's a 3-hour show, pal. We
got to kill a half hour somehow.
And, of course, Rhea Ripley wins that match by submission.
Oh.
So they're, I guess, just trying to continue to tell you the story that without each other, even though they're the tag champs, without one another in a tag match, Tamina and Natalya ain't shit as solo.
Yep. Forget the 12 years they've been here. Fuck it.
We come to
I mean, it's putting you to sleep. That's how bad this damn show
I'm going
is.
over my notes, yes. This
is how bad it is.
Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, they make their way to the ring along with the New Day. We get a commercial break. We come back. Replays are shown of Bliss giving Charlotte Flair the Charlie doll. Then they got into a brawl. They're selling. They then remind you. They throw up a graphic and let you know that they are currently selling the Charlie doll right now on WWEshop.com for $40.
Sell that shit
Fantastic.
out. $40 for a doll.
$40, baby.
Damn.
Charlotte's walking backstage. She sees the Charlie doll and she throws it in the garbage. We then get an 8-man tag match: Mustafa Ali, Mansoor, and the New Day versus Mace, T-Bar, AJ, and Omos.
We were all clamoring for this match. This should have been headlined at MSG last week.
Yeah. This is once again a match where they have done a great job of protecting Omos and continuing to make him look strong.
Yeah.
That package of him and AJ, they look great together. Mm-hmm. There's no need to break them up anytime soon. It allows you, it gives you an excuse to keep AJ out of the main event title picture for a while. Just give him a breather. AJ doesn't always have to be in the world title picture. He's got his muscle with him. He and Omos, they look great together. Just that Sean Diesel type package that you got going on there. So it's great. It doesn't require AJ to work long solo matches either. So this is, anyways, how this match ends. Omos, he tags himself in. They zoom in super close as they pump up cheers from the crowd that you could obviously hear. A few people you see in the background, not really moving. Everyone starts to gang up on Omos, but he clears the ring, hits Ali with a two-handed choke bomb for the win. So
they pinned Ali?
We had to.
They pinned Ali.
Man, we got to build him up for Saudi.
So,
guy who's going to win the 2019 Rumble?
Yeah.
That's your guy? Good Lord.
We get our video package of Bobby Lashley. Lashley's backstage with MVP. MVP says Lashley will inflict as much punishment on Orton as inhumanly possible. Big E then walks up, boos them before reminding them once again, as he had been all night, he's cashing in. We get a replay showing Doudrop destroying Eva Marie 2 weeks before. Doudrop, she got married last week, so I'm going to assume maybe that's why she was off TV. Doudrop in a match against Eva Marie, because this is exactly what you guys wanted to see. Just know that Doudrop won. Sorry, can't give you the match-by-match, move-by-move.
Just think about this. We had a good plan for Eva Marie when she came back. She should be like a manager type, build this, group up, have a power group, and she's like the figurehead of it. This is what they did the 12 weeks of vignettes for. We thought we learned from Emelena. We thought we learned from the others in the past that used the pretty girl gimmick coming back. And no, we're doing this again.
Unless they can actually work in the ring, we don't want to see them working in the ring.
No.
There you go.
Yeah, you had the great plan for her. She should be a goddamn manager or a figurehead of a power group, and she can talk pretty good. So I mean, it would be believable. She has that taste in fans' mouth as they don't like her anyway. So I mean, would be a perfect heel manager, and they're doing this.
We then get backstage. We get. He went from looking like Demolition the week before to looking like a sexy waiter at a 5-star, as I put it on Twitter.
And a guy that was the Celtics put in charge of operating the shot clocks. Did you notice that? They had all the goddamn basketball hoops behind him with the shot clocks on them. So I'm like, okay, I get the time reference here. I'm sure that's what Bruce saw in the building. Hey, there's a clock, pal. Let's film a vignette.
We get Karrion Kross, who's backstage, says that he's not here to get lost in the shuffle. He'll pulverize everyone around him like clockwork until everyone learns to fall and pray. He's in a suit and I don't know. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought it looked good. I just felt, why didn't we do this from night one?
Right.
Instead of having him losing fluke matches to Jeff Hardy. Why didn't we just do that?
Man,
night one?
having your NXT champion lose to a guy who consistently loses on main event is not great.
And there's still no Scarlett, by the way.
No, she's
Yeah,
still
where
not,
is she?
She's still not cleared. Again, this is the whole Vince not cleared issue again. I don't know how you can get injured walking to the ring. Well, we've seen Vince blow out 2 quads, but I guess it's a danger. And Titus.
So we get our Raw Championship main event match. We get the challenger, Randy Orton, versus Bobby Lashley, the champ. We get some Orton gets the upper hand early on. We go to the commercial. We come back from the commercial to see Orton putting Lashley on the top rope for a suplex. Orton then rolls over, picks up a near fall. Lashley then knocks Orton out of the ring, drives him into the ring post. Lashley gets back into the ring, knocks Orton off the apron. When he gets on, Lashley then gets Orton on the ring. He crushes him with a shoulder thrust into the corner. We'll fast forward a little bit more. Orton reverses the advantage, catches Lashley with the draping DDT, gets the crowd fired up. Then Orton sizes him up, but Lashley avoids an RKO. Lashley then spears him down. Orton kicks out. Lashley then goes for the hurt lock, and then Orton fights out of that as well. Orton then proceeds to elbow him in the head, hits him with the RKO. MVP then quickly pulls Lashley to the ropes. Riddle yells at MVP. MVP threatens to hit him with his cane, and that's where Orton sneaks up from behind MVP and hits him with the RKO on the floor. Orton gets in the ring, but by that time, Lashley's able to split him in half with another spear for a win. So after the match, we get on the outside. There's Lashley attacking Riddle. He drives his head into a ring post. It was actually pretty stiff looking.
Yeah, it was.
He nailed him pretty good. Lashley then gave Orton a one-arm spine buster through the commentary table that didn't break.
No.
Lashley, a lot of people getting slammed through tables that didn't break this week. We'll talk about that for Dynamite here in a little bit. Lashley then appeared to have blown his knee out and couldn't put any pressure on him. Well, I'll be damned.
How does that always happen when someone's got a Money in the Bank contract?
Absolutely. Yeah. Big E makes his way down the ramp, comes out, cashes in his Money in the Bank contract. Lashley is refusing to defend the title. He wants to take the belt and leave. Big E slaps him in the face. We then get the match started. Lashley takes Big E down, punches away at him. Big E then gets away, chop blocks the knee. Big E then goes for the big ending. Lashley slides off, spears him down for a near fall. Lashley goes for a dominator. Big E gets out, hits the big inning for the win. Everyone goes home happy. Big E's your new WWE champion.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, clean in the middle.
And the New Day come out to celebrate with
They could have waited on. They were out there quick. And I know they were fighting the clock, and I know you put up a good point, too, when we were talking about it, that they should have probably ended the show a little earlier, have the win, so then people tune-in factor, flip over to see, hey, new champion, Big E. They hit the ring quick. They hit the ring quick,
and I thought the way you could have did this, if you were eventually going to have Big E beat Lashley anyways, rehash the story. Lashley took out the New Day.
Yep.
Took his boys out.
Yep. And then
that would have been enough reason for Big E to just let you know up front, I'm going to cash in on you at the next pay-per-view and just actually have a match and give Big E that opportunity to
we're supposed to forget about that, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. That was like a month ago. That's all of us have to think about our problems and everything we had on our mind all the time. But in WWE world, that was like 50 years ago.
We got to the Knoxville, Tennessee for SmackDown. Moving on to this. Last night's SmackDown, they're in Knoxville, Tennessee. The mayor of Knox County.
Yep, he was
that territory. We were expecting it. The whole show, though, was promoted, honestly, around the fact that Bianca Belair, the hometown girl, was going to be there. We kicked off, as every single SmackDown should kick off, with the Bloodline.
Yes.
With Roman Reigns and the Usos and Paul Heyman. They come out, and now, before that, it was actually starting to make you think that this was going to start off with Seth Rollins, because they gave you a video package in the beginning showing Rollins with the curb stomp to Edge, but we still get a Roman Reigns. He's in there. It's announced that Brock Lesnar and he will be facing each other at Sweet Saudi Money, WWE Crown Jewel.
Yeah. Now forget there's a match next week.
Never mind the fact he's going to be taking on Finn Balor, the Demon.
Yeah.
Never mind that. But they get out there, and Reigns demands that Knoxville acknowledges him. But they, of course, boo him like crazy instead. Reigns shakes his head in disbelief. Reigns wants Paul Heyman to teach the people how to acknowledge him properly. Heyman does a lot of the talking on this. He proceeds to say that Brock Lesnar fears Roman Reigns. Never mind the fact that just about every time these two have ever faced each other in the ring, Brock Lesnar's dominated the match.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And has basically done whatever he's wanted to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Never mind that. But according to Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar is very, very scared of Roman Reigns, and he goes on to say the tribal chief, he ducks no challengers. He will defend his position at the head of the table at all times and will defend the position of tribal chief. And then they continue to go on and on and on. And that's when they are then interrupted by Big E, your new WWE champion.
Hey.
This made no sense.
No, that didn't. Yeah.
But then we figured out why. Because Finn Balor came out after him, and this was going to end up being a tag team match, playa.
Yes.
To start off SmackDown. This was going to end up being a match of Big E and Finn Balor versus the Usos. This was actually a pretty solid match.
good.
I will
Yep.
say this. The Usos deserve their credit without a doubt as just being one of the, I think it's safe to say now they've been around for a good decade. You could go ahead and put them in the category of some of the best tag teams the company.
Absolutely.
They unfortunately get the detriment of being a part of this era of WWE. We'll never know just how good they would have been booked during an Attitude Era or before them with tag. But I think with the lineage, they would hold their own. And they would have gotten a good push. This is a good match. This was a match that ended up ending with Balor avoiding an attack from Jimmy and hit Jay with a sling blade. Big E hit Jimmy with a big ending. Balor hit Jay with a coup de grace, and Big E was able to cover the legal man, which was Jimmy, for the win. So there you go. Your winners for that match, Big E and Finn Balor. Roman Reigns is watching backstage in disgust with Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
He then proceeds to ask Paul Heyman if there's anything else that he needs to know. Heyman says there isn't. Roman Reigns says that he'll pretend to know. Heyman says that he has all of the respect in his heart and soul for Reigns, but he did not know that Brock Lesnar was coming to SummerSlam. This is the guy who has been known as, the biggest liar in pro wrestling.
Yes.
This guy
he's playing it to a T because he's playing himself. I mean, it's fantastic right now.
He says it's a cover. Lesnar is dealing with fear for the first time. The way he deals with fear is with false narratives that Heyman knew that he was coming to SummerSlam. That's how Heyman knows Lesnar fears Reigns. Reigns doesn't pay Heyman. Reigns proceeds to say that he doesn't pay Heyman to be under the impression. He pays Heyman to know things in advance.
Yes.
We get Rick Boogs on the guitar introducing Nakamura, and this is when I always turn away from the screen because I'm just so over Nakamura.
Well, the amp wasn't plugged in here for Boogs. He was still trying to play that guitar.
Yeah, I saw that. We got a commercial break. We came back. We got a tag match of Rick Boogs. You would have thought Nakamura was going to be in the match. No, it was Rick Boogs versus Bobby Roode, who was escorted with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler distracted Boogs immediately in this match. Roode took Boogs down. Roode need Boogs in the mix section. This is so hard going back and forth pronouncing these names. Anyways, Boogs got the upper hand, got Roode into the corner. Roode then booted him, hit him with a blockbuster for a 2 count. Roode continued to attack Boogs, went for the glorious DDT. Boogs lifted Roode, hit a Samoan drop. Boogs hit a pair of exploder suplexes and clotheslined him into the corner. Boogs then proceeded to follow up with a bulldog. Boogs then connects with the Boogs Cruise for the win. This was a match, PJ, you were saying, Jesus, Bobby Roode's deal coming up soon because we Got him losing the ring.
He's eating the pins. This is a long way from the glorious days when that song was over and getting huge pops in NXT. Vince obviously was not watching that or does not care about what he did in TNA or anywhere else because it's not one of his own guys. And yeah, let's shit on Rude and Dolph Ziggler some more here.
Was this a match, Eli, that you cared for?
No.
All right, moving on. Even though the segment wasn't over, because on the outside of the ring, we got Commander Aziz attacking Nakamura from behind before slamming Boogs into the steps. That's when Apollo Crews stepped in, attacked Nakamura, threw him into a table. Pat McAfee, who was a huge Nakamura mark, as he plays it up to be on SmackDown. He was very devastated. Crews and Aziz, they got into the ring. Crews asked if this is really the king. Nakamura's never, he said that Nakamura has now made a mockery of the Intercontinental Championship and demanded his rematch. Sir, I think your boss, Vince McMahon, made a mockery of the Intercontinental Championship about 15 years ago when he decided that no one gave a damn about it.
Yep.
No, Vince, people still do care about it. You just don't care.
This is coming from the last Intercontinental Champion, who I believe lost 6 times with the belt. So if anyone made it,
right,
look
that's
bad.
how we get away with that. We put straps on people and we book them in non-title matches.
And then they lose, and then they win when it's supposed to. Yeah. The Intercontinental Championship, let's see, the last time it meant something, it was booked highly on Mania. I can't even think about it. It had to be at least 10, 15 years ago.
Before the commercial,
Bryan Daniel winning it at WrestleMania a few years ago. That's like an isolated event, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Before the commercial break, we got a tease of Owens facing Happy Corbin. Got back from the commercials. We replayed the segment between Corbin and Owens. And then we ended up also showing a replay of Edge being carted out of MSG on a stretcher. And then Seth Rollins makes his... Actually, let me.
Well, we had Rollins in the ring when we're showing all this shit.
Well, let me go back a little bit. So we played the package of Happy Corbin and Logan Paul jumping Kevin Owens. This was to tease the match. Kevin Owens made his entrance, but then Happy Corbin attacked him from behind and choke slammed him on the apron. So the match was not going to happen because Happy Corbin, he celebrated, walked off. Then we got the replay package of Edge being carted off in a stretcher. Seth Rollins then makes his entrance celebrating.
The goddamn Tin Man from Wizard of Oz.
And we're teasing that Rollins is going to come back from a commercial break with a promo. However, we come back from a commercial break and we see Paul Heyman walking around the back. And he gets startled by Caleb Braxton.
This was good. Yeah,
this was actually a really good segment. Yeah. These two are really good together. And I think a lot of their time being on Talking Smack, doing those shows together, they're really good together. Braxton asked him a question, and Heyman basically continuously said that Braxton needs to basically get a life, that she clearly wants Paul Heyman. She likes a man in power. She's flirting with him. And that's the only reason that she throws those questions at him.
Yes.
We also then see Big E in the back.
Yes. Resuming his role of also being a Heyman antagonist.
Yes. So Big E starts to annoy Heyman, and then as Big E turns around, he gets super kicked by the Usos, jumped really good. Mm-hmm. All of this stuff happened for a good couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You've forgotten, as we pan away from that, Seth Rollins' music is still playing with him in the ring.
Yeah, he was in the ring for like 10 minutes.
And I said, imagine being at the show.
Yes.
Right.
Imagine sitting at these shows now, and you have that segment with Rollins walking out. The music's playing extra long, so you know that it's commercial break. You come back, you got to look at the Jumbotron and see what's going on in the back. As Rollins' music probably gets piped down, but then as that's over, they pipe it back up, and he's still. It's just
kill the crowd that way.
Yeah,
that's
too much stuff going on.
Then he comes out and does his thing. So now you got the crowds just sitting on their hands here for an extended long period.
Yes, Rollins cuts his promo and said that he's had a week to process the feelings about the end of the match with him and Edge. Rollins blames the crowd for him doing what he did to Edge and said that he needs to finish what he started. He needs to finish off Edge, that it's not over.
All right.
There you go. So the crowd, he got pretty good heat for this. Yes, he was really upset. He says the person who went too far was Edge because he's the family man. Edge knew the risk and consequences, yet he still got in the ring, and the people are the blame for it. He said the people are the blame for what happened to Edge. They egged Edge on when he ruined his $3,000 suit, or his $3,000 suit with the Brood bloodbath, or the PG bloodbath, and then he beat him at SummerSlam. So yes, he's blaming the family or the fans of the WWE universe for that. We get a backstage segment. We get Kayla Braxton backstage with Becky Lynch. Braxton asks about Bianca Belair's homecoming being there in Knoxville, Tennessee. Lynch says that momentum keeps going until it meets an opposing force. The outcome of Extreme Rules will be the same as SummerSlam. Tonight is Belair's night, but Lynch has never been to a homecoming, so we're teasing that this homecoming is going to be spoiled because it's Vince McMahon. Damn it! If you're in your hometown, if I know that's your hometown, damn it, we're gonna
make an example of it.
Yeah.
We are. Zelina Vega makes her way to the ring along with Carmella to face
A week late.
Yes. Liv Morgan and Toni Storm. We go to commercial. We come back. This tag match, just know that it was nothing special. It was really slow. They went through the motions. Toni Storm and Liv Morgan, though, they win this match.
Yes.
Well, I'd call it something special because apparently Toni Storm's a special attraction now. We haven't seen her since July.
Yes.
On SmackDown.
Yes,
I
we
mean,
almost
it's-
had to send out the National
Yes.
Guard for Toni Storm.
Right?
She's still on there, and then we got to put her in the tag team match with Liv Morgan, and she doesn't really have a program after the debut and the vignettes and everything.
After the match, Liv Morgan, she sarcastically apologizes for breaking Carmella's nose. That was the whole storyline of this match. Morgan actually isn't sorry because she's tired of her running her mouth and running away. Morgan challenges her to a match at Extreme Rules. This match is over nothing.
No.
There's no title at stake.
There's nothing at
There's
it.
nothing.
No.
If
Kickoff show match.
Yes, if Carmella accepts, she'll make her as ugly on the outside as she is on the inside. We then got the Street Profits backstage hyping up Bianca Belair's homecoming. We got a commercial break. We came back. Carmella's in the trainer's room. Her nose is fine. Carmella's furious at Liv Morgan and trying to turn her into a 5 and accepts the challenge. Finn Balor, we get a segment of Finn Balor. He talks about his background. It's basically to tease and kind of tell you a little bit about the demon and what it does to him, his alter ego. We then get Rey and Dominic Mysterio making their entrance as Mysterio was going to be in a match against Sami Zayn. Before then, though, we got Sonya Deville, who's backstage on the phone once again. We get a furious Naomi who walks up to her. Naomi says she's been more than patient and respectful to try and get Sonya Deville's attention for a match. My thing is, fellas, is that this is 3 straight weeks. And is Sonya Deville, is she not available before SmackDown, Monday through Thursday? Does Naomi not have her number? Does Naomi not know where Sonya Deville lives? I would imagine so, since stalkers know where Sonya lives. You would think that Sonya would not be too hard to get a hold of.
True.
There's HR involved, so you want to bypass them and just go right to the ring. I mean, that must be nice.
Naomi just wants to know when is her match. Deville says they're out of time and to come back next week. Naomi says that she's been there longer and more accomplished than Deville, and Naomi says that she'll never quit one way or another. She's going to get her match. So I got a feeling that her match is going to be with Sonya Deville. So I think we've already started to drop the breadcrumbs that Sonya Deville eventually will be back in action soon.
Well, then I guess,
it's taken long enough.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think Sonya should have put herself in the Money in the Bank and won.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it should have been, or like you said too, like an advisor for Charlotte when they were teasing that breadcrumb.
We get our match of Dominic Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. It was a solid match. I mean, I think Dominic has done a pretty good job of hanging with some of the more seasoned vets on the roster, although I think it's a little too much Mysterio now for me. They don't have heat with me, but it wouldn't be a bad thing to put the Mysterios out for a while. I just don't see really anything significant anything of substance, really, of why the Mysterios are on television every single week.
That's just a name. It's a draw. It's I
Sell
guess
some
that's what they
masks.
feel. Sell some masks for that live crowd.
Are you guys as surprised as I am that Dominic has remained on the main roster as long as he has, actually working matches?
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, we thought NXT was going to be the thing after the old eyeball match, and no, we shot him back in there, and that's where he is.
Well, I mean, it's kind of perfect for Vince, right? One of his highest money drawers, Rey Mysterio, just a taller version of him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all he needs.
You know what the best part of this match was? Was Dominic coming down to the ring and Rey not riding on his back. That was the best part for me.
That's right.
Between Nakamura's off Jiggy brand dancing and the Mysterios riding backs, I was happy.
They finally fixed that. Yes.
So Sami Zayn wins by pinfall. He gets him Mysterio's face on the outside. Says that he's not the coach that he thought he was. We got a video package of Bianca Belair before the break. Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, a.k.a. Kane, also was in the video package. We came back from the commercial break as Mayor Kane is in the ring and makes the ring posts explode with fire in his corporate suit. I didn't think corporate Kane could do that. I thought only Demon Kane in the mask and the getup could make the fire come out.
Well, he's a mayor now, so he's got a little bit more power at City Hall. So, I mean, that's they can figure that out, fire cold and everything else, so they're good to go.
So, we also got some promotion that next Friday, Nakamura is going to be defending the Intercontinental title against Apollo Crews, and Liv Morgan will be battling Zelina Vega.
Again.
Yes, and then we get back to Kane, who said the feeling never gets old. He said it was his greatest pleasure to welcome the EST of WWE back to her hometown. Bianca Belair. Belair, she comes out. Big reception from the home crowd. They have been promoting it all throughout the show. They've been showing her clips of high school, doing track and field, their college. So she got a very loud EST chant. Her family was at ringside. They were going wild. Kane asked how it felt to be back in Knoxville. Belair, she catered to the crowd. Didn't shit on the hometown. Yeah. Although I do like those two. I like when guys shit on their hometowns. Yes. I think the last one was Elias when they were in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
He shit on the place. Yeah. But she, of course, had great things to say about the city she grew up in. She said Knoxville made her who she is. She credited her father, who told her that if someone starts with you, then you finish it. That's when Becky Lynch caught her off guard at SummerSlam, but she'll fight her way to the top, and at Extreme Rules, she's going to take back the SmackDown Women's Championship. Kane then proceeds to say that when she wins the title back, they're going to have a huge celebration for her in her honor in Knoxville. Kane then presents her with a key to the county.
Well, again, you got to think the goddamn Volunteers football team hasn't won shit in years. So I mean, they've got all this parade stuff in storage. They may as well.
Yes, Kane reveals a large key and embraces Belair. She holds it up. Belair thanks everyone in her family, the high school, University of Tennessee. She's proud to be Knoxville made. She said enough about her. She wanted to celebrate Knoxville by singing Rocky Top.
Yes.
Crowd start to sing, but SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch thankfully interrupted this shit.
She started singing along too.
Lynch says that Kane lied. Belair won't be champion after Extreme Rules. She's Knoxville's champion, but not the champion.
A lying politician. Oh, no. Imagine that.
Lynch got into the ring. Kane had disappeared into thin air by then.
Yes.
Belair asks why Lynch is here. And when she doesn't even
You don't go here.
You don't go here.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's going to stop Becky Lynch. Lynch knows that she doesn't go here and didn't come out to steal Belair's thunder. Lynch said that SummerSlam was her night. Extreme Rules will probably be her night as well, but tonight belongs to Belair. Lynch is here to show respect. Lynch goes for a handshake, but Belair shakes her head. Lynch then said that she's being the bigger man. Belair shakes her hand but won't let go. That's when Lynch got mad, went after her, but Belair ducked Balor went for the KOD, but Lynch slides off and hit a manhandle slam, and then Lynch walked off. They're really trying too hard with the Lynch shit being a bad heel, right? Aren't they?
Yeah. And we're going to give you the rock bottom as your new finisher. I mean, it's getting a little, we're really reaching now.
With AEW, not a ton of news as far as with AEW, except for the fact that Adam Cole addressed the WWE manager rumors this past week. He did a couple of interviews. He went ahead and discarded all the rumors about him being offered the managerial role for Keith Lee coming out of NXT. That had been circulated as the reason why Cole decided to leave. I would imagine, the Twitch stream had a lot to do with it. That was a big part. And, when your friends are working at AEW and your girlfriend also works there, that doesn't hurt either in terms of deciding where you want to go and creatively being able to do a little bit more. Cole said it, he said, quote, "I personally never heard anything regarding that as far as the managerial role in WWE." He went on to say, "I touched base a little bit on how my meeting with Vince McMahon went, and it went really well. We talked for about 30 minutes. He had a lot of complimentary things to say as far as hearing that specific thing. That was not something I heard about. My 4 years with NXT was fantastic. My 4 years with WWE was awesome. But at the end of the day, I wanted to end up in AEW. Now that I'm here, I'm stoked." Again, is this... Is Adam Cole protecting Vince? Is he protecting Triple H? Does he just kind of want to leave with some class and kind of leave that door open where maybe one day, one big last payday, if he wants to go back, make a run this time, do good business, maybe he's going to AEW to up his stock even more. Mm-hmm. That gives him a chip to come back, leaves that door open. He's not shitting on the company. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, if they had a meeting... you would think it would be longer than 30 minutes if they were really serious about his future with the company, right? Absolutely. Says, I had a meeting with Vince and we talked for 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, that might be a long meeting for Vince nowadays because apparently you can't even talk to him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got to stand in line for about 12 hours and hold your pee. Get a bladder infection making the efforts to talk to Vince. So, PJ, what do you think? Is Adam Cole, is he protecting them or... I mean, do you think he really did not know of that idea? Or do you think it was...
I think so. I could believe him in that because where did that report come from? Uncle Dave. He's not the most... I know he does his sources and everything, but I mean, you could just say, well, I heard this was going to be the idea and this was going to be the pitch. Well, it doesn't mean that it made it the rounds to the talent. Some stooge in the back may have heard that in a creative idea meeting and said, oh, this for sure is what we're going to do. And then they're like, I'm going to go call Dave up and we're going to spread this rumor around. This will be a good laugh. I mean, I can believe him in that. And what's wrong with guys just liking the workplace they used to work at? It's kind of refreshing because everyone's got his shit on where they worked at and it just sucked and couldn't wait to get out of there. And he said, it was a pretty good 4 years. Time to move on, but it was a pretty good 4 years, and who knows in the future? And I mean that's a good way to play it for him.
Yeah,
and I definitely think if there was one person who'd just be going to AEW to raise stock and then maybe do another run in WWE, I think Adam Cole would be the most likely to do that.
Well, we know it won't be Punk.
It ain't gonna be Punk.
Fox tried to. Fox was willing to pay some of the funds to bring him in, and they said, well, no, he's got attitude issues. Well, the company that Adam Cole and CM Punk are now working for, AEW Dynamite, this past Wednesday, it was at the in Newark, New Jersey. And in this match, or for this Dynamite, CM Punk originally started the telecast coming out, joining the commentary team as Dynamite began. Excalibur was also back in commentary this week after being, I believe, married the week before prior. No, he is not married to Dewdrop, who was also married last week. Our first match, they wasted little time. They always give you a match to kick off Dynamite, something that's going to glue you to the TV screen immediately. This time it was Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah.
Making his AEW in-ring debut against the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian, who has the Elite Hunter got one victory on any members of the Elite?
I don't think so.
No, so you can't be the Elite Hunter if you can't take them out.
Guys, your thoughts on this match? Cole's AEW in-ring debut. I told you what my complaint was, PJ. We didn't need him going 20 minutes with Frank Kazarian. Frank Kazarian is a tag team guy, in my opinion. As a solo guy, you can't hurt Frank Kazarian if you beat him in less than 10 minutes. He's not known as a solo guy.
Well, that's the problem with AEW. These matches go on forever, and they think they have to go on forever just to say, oh, look at the athleticism. This is real wrestling. This is how we justify it. No, you could have made the point in 5 minutes that Adam Cole is your star. He's a future star, and this is, Kazarian's a good worker, but this is the star.
Absolutely.
And before you mention anything, Eli, I was going to say, with the name Adam Cole, you have people that watch the WWE product or people that are starting to get back into just watching the product in general just because AEW have reinvigorated some enthusiasm, some excitement with just the wrestling fan base, just with the names of the past that they're bringing in, guys who are not too old, but guys who have been away for a little bit or guys who they've seen work in New York. Adam Cole is a trending name, and if you didn't watch him on NXT, but you've seen that name trend, then you think he's a somebody.
Yeah.
So if AEW stole him from Vince, then he's really got to be a somebody. And in his first match, well, this somebody is wrestling 20 minutes with a guy who does nothing for me.
Yeah.
I was when this match got announced, I was a little disappointed. I would have liked to see him with like a I don't know exactly who I'd like to see him, like maybe like a Pac.
Okay.
First match. Not Pac. He is probably a little too protected.
I would.
But you could. You definitely could.
Throw him in there with one of those.
But like, yeah, exactly. Someone like that. Someone who can be in the title picture, but like maybe necessarily isn't right now. Not necessarily a guy who's normally a tag team star.
Yeah.
Well, I had no problem with the actual matchup.
Right. Well,
I thought it was a great opponent.
It was a good match.
The issue was 20 minutes with Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah. It was just a mix of like, oh, he's the first guy. Okay. And then, a little long, but it's a good match. They're
remember,
workers.
Marco Stunt went about 8 minutes with Brian Cage.
Or was it Lance Archer?
Lance Archer.
Or was it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what the hell?
Well, Cole ends up winning this match. He hit the last shot. Shining Wizard for the pin. After the match, Cole broke out a new story time with the crowd. He said the hope is a dangerous thing and that the AEW locker room hopes that it can keep up with the elite, but that is not going to happen. He proceeded to say he's only been there a few weeks and they already have 3 guys that have gotten under his skin, and that is Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. Cole challenged them to a trios match against he and the Young Bucks for Rampage next week, which is going to be the Grand Slam show in New York that they have already announced. That's going to be a special. That's a lengthened 2-hour show.
They're getting desperate, aren't they?
That's a loaded card. We'll get on that.
But I'm just saying the Bucks are they need the rub, don't they?
Yeah.
Cole does not need to be doing damn trios matches. I know he's in the group, but man, they need that rub.
I think they're
missing it.
I think they're going for nostalgia pop, because I think I might nostalgia pop for that, because they had in Ring of Honor. I know those 3 were a very well-oiled.
Here's the
machine.
problem.
AEW has
I never watched that shit, and so did half the audience. They don't want to see that shit, because if they would have watched it back then.
He says that
Fair
the
enough.
Super Click is back, baby. And as far as I know, I believe AEW trademarked Super Click. I think they're ready to push some merchandise on that. The Lucha Brothers, they ended up cutting a promo on the Butcher and the Blade. Ray Phoenix said they used to be brothers, but now they are enemies. Penta said that if they want to take
they were in a group.
Yes, they were with Eddie Kingston.
That's right. Yeah.
Penta said that if they want to, that was at the time that QT Marshall stole the bunny away from the Blade, if you remember.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
he's whining and diner. Gave her a jacket and all
Yes.
that shit. Yeah.
Penta said that if they want to take their titles away, then they'll have to sweat, cry, and bleed to take them on Rampage. So they were amping up the set for what was last night's Rampage. We got to a commercial break. We came back. Tony Schiavone, he's interviewing Fuego del Sol and Sammy Guevara backstage. Fuego says that he would trade everything in to be the TNT champion. He challenges Miro to a match on Rampage where Fuego will put up the keys to his new car on the line. Fellas,
I've got to ask you, as the guy watching this, getting into it, a guy with a record of what? Well, now I think he's 1 in 42.
Yeah.
42 or something.
Okay, a guy like Fuego del Sol, does that guy excite you?
No.
Oh, he doesn't.
No. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know.
See, I thought
there's a lot
maybe because we're old and we're used to bigger guys, and maybe this guy flips around and all that stuff. They're trying to justify that he's getting a crowd reaction, and that's why they're kind of pushing him. So as a newer kind of fan, this does nothing for you.
Well, I don't watch Dark and Dark Elevation very much,
None of
which
us
is
do.
where he got over.
None of us do.
So
Yeah.
I just haven't. I've only seen him in 2 matches, both against Miro, both squash match. Well, I mean, the last one wasn't as much of a squash match, but
So you've actually watched him on real TV.
Yes.
Or on the showcase of where your good talent should be.
Exactly.
Why are we giving this guy any goddamn time at all?
Oh, because they want to put the title on Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, but I don't need Fuego del Sol.
Exactly.
His goddamn card could be repossessed tomorrow, and I don't give a shit.
I think they should have done this the first match. Had a nice clean squash. Had Miro do a post match beat up. Have Sammy do or whatever. Have Sammy come out first Rampage, because that closed the show. The first Rampage was Miro versus Fuego. So
yeah,
if they were gonna do it, I think they should have done it there.
We got MJF, who came out with Wardlow. MJF says that everyone was so sympathetic for crying Brian. Said that they should have been sympathetic for him because he has to be in the armpit of America right now.
He's so good.
MJF said that he was smartened up to some of his words, or that he was smartened up that some of his words might have offended people last week, and he just wants everyone to know that he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
MJF says he is a religious man, and he feels like he needs to have a word with the late, great Brian Pillman.
Yes.
And then he starts talking towards the sky, but stops and says, quote, "Who are we kidding?" and starts talking to the ground instead.
So
MJF then says that if Pillman's son shows up to Dynamite next week, he will massacre him. That's when Pillman's music hit. MJF, he told Wardlow to meet him up on the stage, but Pillman came out of the crowd and comes after MJF with a chair. Wardlow ran back in, takes the chair from him, but then Pillman slaps Wardlow. Wardlow goes after Pillman, but he sidesteps and sends Wardlow over the ropes. Pillman then grabs the chair. MJF and Wardlow, they retreat.
I'm liking this piece of business, and I'm liking some of the factors in there. The Griff Garrison I could do without, and I'm glad we didn't see it this time. But I'm liking this, and I'm also noticing like the Wardlow actions, where he's letting him get a little business in on MJF. He's letting him beat the hell out of him, but then he takes him off after a while. So I do like that, where even Wardlow's like, I think we're, you could see these actions like, well, you kind of deserve that. He's letting him do the beat down a little bit. Then he comes and interferes and gets him off of them. They're doing a good. I think they're doing a good job with this build. I am actually looking forward to this match.
After that segment, we got then a piece. We got a pre-recorded segment of Jim Ross conducting a sit-down interview with Pillman Jr. Gave some praise to Pillman's father, late great Brian Pillman, and basically asked him his strategy. Said that he wanted to see him whoop MJF's ass, and if he was ready to whoop MJF's ass. And Pillman told Ross that with the family history, he didn't want to let his dad down, and he does plan to do just that, which he will not, because MJF is one of the highest heels in the business.
Yes.
And we can't have MJF losing to Jericho and then turn around and lose to Pillman Jr. It's just not going to happen. We got a commercial break. We came back. Jurassic Express and Christian, they accept Cole's challenge, and Christian says that Cole has some pretty good friends willing to pull his ass out of developmental, and says that since he's already used to losing Wednesday Night Wars, he better get used to losing on Fridays too.
yeah.
They just won't let that Wednesday Night War shit down, will they? My God. Do they understand they have to move off the damn network because New York had to move for the same damn reason, the NHL? That's not getting mentioned in the promos. Oh, we're losing our damn network because of the NHL. You guys lost your night.
FTR, they came out with Tully Blanchard. They took on the team of Matt Sydal and Dante Martin. FTR won this by pinfall. Didn't do anything for me because my thing is FTR has been poorly booked in AEW.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
It's just what it is.
Lance Archer ranted about the heinous Suzuki incident and said that Moxley had the deck stacked in his favor, but won't happen next week. That won't happen next week. They will face both. That will face to face he and Suzuki together next week. Malachi Black then came out, said there was an enemy in their midst, and points out actress Rosario Dawson wearing a Cody Rhodes hoodie. Cody was then shown walking through the crowd, and as Black looks at Cody, Rosario Dawson jumps out of the crowd and onto Aleister Black's or Malachi Black's back. This is a little too silly for me. Cody then attacked Black, and then they start brawling into the crowd.
The
Black
fight-off
Cody
took forever on this.
Yes.
They were going through, took them forever to get to the exit on the stairs.
Went all the way up the stairs. Went to commercial break. We come back. Allie cuts a promo about Anna Jay and says that she wouldn't have attacked Anna if she hadn't gotten in her way to begin with. They will face each other on Rampage. And Anna is with the Dark Order, and Eva Uno says that he will lead the way for her. Yes, Evil Uno also in the Anna Jay promo as well.
All right.
Alex Reynolds, he walks up, taunts Uno and the Dark Order. They start arguing again. So I'm just like, did we really need to do that? I mean, we could have did that on, we took away from what the ladies have going on to basically throw in the Dark Order misaligned bullshit there. Anyways, American Top Team, they're in the ring with Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Dan Lambert. He taunts the crowd, starts talking about the midget dorks on the AEW roster and talks about them throwing 30 super kicks and dumping on their style. Finally, Chris Jericho comes out and the morons go nuts, as he said it. Lambert freaked out, screamed to turn his shit off in terms of Jericho's music, and said they don't even know the lyrics and they have to get it off the internet, but the fans start singing it anyways. Jericho says that he would sing the lyrics to Lambert's song, but no one knows the lyrics to I'm a Fat Face Dipshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we get this angle of Jericho taunting America Top Team. He comes out with Jake Hager. I guess it was kind of to add to the MMA portion of this whole thing. Yeah. Jericho says everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face and suggests that if they knock Lambert's teeth out. Lambert says if they really want to do this, then Jericho and Hager will have to do it in a real city, not a shithole like Jersey. He then proceeds to challenge Jericho and Hager to face Sky and Page next week, and Jericho agrees. We then get a video of the Gun Club attacking Paul White on Dark, and Billy Gunn says they did it because they are tired of being overlooked.
Well, they weren't for a whole damn year because we saw the kids in the front row.
Yes. He says that they are going to take the respect that they've earned, and anyone that has a problem with it can come tell them face to face.
Well, I think Vince did. Get the hell out of NXT.
We got legit Layla Hirsch in a match against Jade Cargill.
And they really tried to build her from the hometown, and the hometown didn't give her a pop worth of shit.
Could we have done this match with anyone except legit Layla Hirsch, someone who actually
that was her
credible
hometown? This was her home match, and they did not give her a pop. The broadcast team was trying to put it over that, she's home here in Newark, and it just didn't work. I don't know.
Jade Cargill is your winner by pinfall with the Jaded. We get then Andrade, who says that Chavo lied to him because he doesn't respect Andrade. He says he never gave Chavo the order to interfere in his match and got pissed at his assistant for helping Chavo as well. Andrade says that he is the kingpin, not Chavo. He says that he can beat Pac or anyone else when he wants. We then got Taz coming out, bitching at Punk, trying to take his job on commentary.
Oh yeah, this
Hook
was
even
the
got
worst.
between Taz and Punk.
Yes, this was bad. And then you could tell in the background there is a swaying curtain that just continued to sway in the wind a little bit, which told you something's going to happen.
Yes, Hook proceeded to get in Punk's face until Powerhouse Hobbs then proceeded to come from behind the curtain and attack Punk from behind. Punk tried to fight back, but Hook put him in a dragon sleeper, and Hobbs proceeded to punch him. Hobbs then choke slammed Punk through the announcer table, which gave nothing whatsoever.
AEW
Looked like it hurt like a son of a bitch.
Gimmick the damn table. I know you want to be tough, guys. I'm sure Punk would appreciate a table that would actually break.
Also, I've noticed this. They've been doing like bumps on the table the long way as opposed to like the
middle of the table where you're supposed
exactly.
to. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're hitting those metal bracers that are keeping the table up. And
Good point on that. Yeah, you're nailing that right on the steel where you don't want to nail it.
exactly.
We come back from a commercial break. Sean Spears cutting a promo about Darby Allin and points out that he is the one that handed Allin his first loss in AEW. I don't give a fuck about Sean Spears.
Is that his only win in AEW? It seems like it.
Yeah.
I don't give two shits about Sean Spears.
No, he's just one of those guys. I mean, good worker, I guess, and that's why he's there. Just another bunch of good workers, not stars.
We then got our tag match of the chairman, Sean Spears, or I apologize if I said tag match, but we got our match of the chairman, Sean Spears, coming down with Tully Blanchard versus Darby Allin, who came down with, of course, Sting. We come back from a commercial break after they go at it. Allin hit a basement drop kick followed by a code red for a 2. Allin then went up to the top, but Spears cut him off and climbed up with him. Allin then tripped Spears, hung him on the turnbuckle, started attacking his knee. Spears then grabbed Allin by his chain, flung him into the ring. Spears attempted a C4 off the apron, but Allin blocked it, shoved Spears onto the steps. Allin then hit a tope suicida. I can't say it like Excalibur, but hit it onto Spears back of the ring. Allin proceeded to hit the coffin drop for the pin. So there you go. Your winner once again, Darby Allin, and your loser once again in AEW, Sean Spears.
At least he has a chair with him.
This was not over. FTR. They climbed into the ring. They start brawling with Allin and Sting. Blanchard then hit Sting with a chair, but then Sting shrugged it off and backed Blanchard into a corner. That's when FTR attacked Sting from behind. They beat Sting and Allin down. Then they hit the mind breaker on Sting. Blanchard used a towel to wipe Sting's paint off. So we gotta do that. Yep. Bryan Danielson. That was how they ended that segment, by the way. So before I continue to move forward, your guys' thoughts on the whole Sting and Tully, where we're going with this?
I don't really. I mean,
all right, it's no longer 1989.
Yeah. I never even saw them.
I mean, I thought maybe Rick was going to pop out there because earlier in the day he had a tweet about Sting, but I guess with everything this was before it all hit the fan. So I guess we're not going to see that for a while.
Bryan Danielson made his way down to the ring for an interview with Tony Schiavone, but before he could say anything, because of course in AEW no one can ever do an interview without getting interrupted before words come out, Don Callis walked out with Omega. There's a face-off. They're going back and forth. Callis calls Danielson the hippie millionaire and called him a son of a bitch. Callis then taunted Danielson about his comment about the reason he came to AEW was because it was best for wrestling. They continue to go back and forth. Danielson then called Callis a piece of shit. Danielson basically suggested that Omega had lost his balls. That was enough to get Omega to agree to a match.
Yes, it was.
That's usually enough to get any wrestler to match. To say that you lost your balls or that your balls are in your wife's purse. That's usually enough to get a guy to say, I accept the challenge.
I accept that match, and I'm going to win that match and win my balls back.
Yes.
Yes. Balls on the chain ranch.
Miro says he's going to bash Fuego's brain and then bash his car, so he doesn't even care about the car that he's planning on winning on Rampage. Moving on, we've got Danielson. It's going to be facing Omega on Dynamite next week. Punk's going to be facing Powerhouse Hobbs on Rampage. And they remind you once again that Rampage is going to be 2 hours. Our main event, you got Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston beating with the Violent Crown. They beat the team of 2.0.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's all we got to do. Yep.
Okay.
On that, that's all.
Okay, real quick, Rampage. We kicked this thing off with the Lucha Brothers defeating the Butcher and the Blade. Post-match, Private Party ran out, gave the Lucha Brothers a beat down. Santana and Ortiz then came out to make the save. Now, this whole time, Matt Hardy stayed out there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He never left.
The worst segment ever. Well, up there in professional wrestling is about to occur.
Yeah, so we ended up getting a match of Anna Jay versus the Bunny. Anna Jay defeated the Bunny, but post-match, Penelope Ford hit Tay Conti and Anna Jay with brass knuckles. And as that's going on the entire time, it still wasn't done. Matt Hardy, he stayed on the outside. And actually, we'll get to that in a little bit. A promo aired of Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook, their attack on CM Punk. All right, moving on. Now we'll get to this part. Tony Schiavone, he's standing in the ring with Matt Hardy and Jack Evans. Hardy then notices a fan in the crowd who has a Orange Cassidy look. Hardy went and said the fan had been looking and staring at him the entire time, wouldn't take his eyes off of him. Hardy went and drugged the fan into the ring. Evans then starts shaving his hair off. They just magically had scissors to cut this man's hair off. Orange Cassidy's music hits, and he comes out to make the save.
Now, this man goes about, what, 3 bills?
Probably about a good solid 320 or so.
Good 320. The guy pulling him in the ring goes about, what, 205?
I'd say Matt Hardy's probably about a good solid 220 now.
220.
225.
Okay. What the fuck? And
we know that the fan could beat up Jack Evans.
And then in the ring, when they do the haircut skits,
he's just taking it.
He's just laying there on the damn mat.
He's not fighting back, not resisting at all.
You got to be kidding me. And then they cut the ponytail off, and then he just falls backward just to take a bump in the ring. This was one of the biggest pieces of shit I ever saw live. This was a terrible segment. And when you told me about it first, I just thought, it's typical AEW. And then when I watched the clip back, I'm like, they did that. They made me believe that these two little shits could beat up a 325-pound
Why is Orange Cassidy being booked backwards?
I have no idea.
We put the rocket on him last year.
Well, we got to now make this Hardy group legit, so I guess we have to have Cassidy in a program to make them somewhat legit.
Tony Schiavone, he's back in the ring for another segment. He gets a hug from Britt Baker. Ruby Soho then comes out. Baker says that Soho is a desperate soul who is just trying to find herself. Baker says that she is an established act. Soho called Baker an entitled, self-centered chick who's banging some guy in the back. This got a pretty good pop from the fans. Baker then reminded Soho that the only reason that she's in AEW is that she got fired from you-know-where. Soho then came back and said that getting fired was the best damn thing that happened to her. Soho guarantees that she will end the DMD era. Baker then charged at Soho, who countered and sent her out of the ring. Baker then left the title in the ring, which Soho grabbed and held high to end the segment. What is with Baker? Baker's very reckless. She never brings the belt with her. There's always the challenger holding it hostage and raising it up in front of her face all the time. She's they gotta talk.
Well, that's
an
AEW problem. Remember when Jericho got the belt stolen at the steakhouse? I mean, it seems to be a problem with the company. They don't know how to hang on to the belt, even in the ring.
And then to retain his TNT championship, Miro defeated Fuego del Sol to end AEW Rampage. Post-match, Miro applied an inverted camel clutch on Fuego. Sammy Guevara then came out to make the save. The show ended with Guevara then picking up the TNT
By the
title
way,
that Miro left in the middle of the ring, teasing a potential future title match.
How many guys are agreeing to take this finisher from Miro now? Someone's going to blow out a goddamn knee. The way he goes back and holds them on that back. You can only do so much to make that move safe. And when you got a big-ass guy like that, now I know he's doing it to the smaller guys.
Yeah.
When you get to someone's knee is going to fucking pop out of socket the way that he is just launching back on there, and then you're going to have issues.
Yeah. There you go, guys. AEW Rampage. They've got a loaded card for next week in New York with the Grand Slam. We've got the match between Jurassic Express and the Elite with Cole and the Young Bucks. We got Punk versus Hobbs.
It's a big week for him. This is another huge thing. We don't know if the Bray Wyatt thing is laying in the weeds or what, because I know there was a tease about that potentially happening at this New York event. We thought it was going to be the Bryan debut. They bumped that up. So this is a big week. They sold out the tennis stadium. Going to be looking good. Now, they are taping the Rampage at this. So they're going to have to keep those results a little hush until Friday. Is that what I understand?
I believe so.
They did this the last 2 weeks, I think, as well. But
yeah,
I think this is going to be a lot.
But I thought, when you're billing it as a big event, and you got Punk in your main. Well, I don't even think they're billing Punk in the main event for the Rampage show. I think it's Moxley and Kingston against Archer and Suzuki.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're billing as their main event. And it's like, no, guys, you got this wrong. Punk is your main event. It's without doubt. So we'll see how they do it, but it'll be interesting.
Your review for AEW Rampage. For Slade,
PJ,
and Eli. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
We are the Bush League Mud Show. Producer Nate on the ones and twos. Dizzy Course Media, the studios here in the dungeon. Hit us up. Like and subscribe wherever you can listen to your favorite podcasts. Also, look us up on social media at Bush League MS Pod. We'll talk to you guys next week.